Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. It is the BMW CMM2 CS Racing Cup Season 2, and we are at the Nürburgring for round number 5. I'm Lee D-Man Smith, and joining me once again, I say once again, he is my fellow commentator from the GT Challenge. It is Aidan Millward, as unfortunately Cameron Roger was unable to make it tonight. So he wasn't sure. He said, I'll be there for the race, I can't miss qualifying. So he just said, you know what? Aidan's got you covered. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing just fine. Hopefully we have a better time of it tonight than we did last week with the slight technical hitch that happened in the GT Challenge, but always good to be alongside a pro such as yourself, Lee, and here at the Nürburgring for the BMWs. It's a track that suits these cars pretty well, I think.
Absolutely. It's we've had some fantastic racing so far in the BMW series as well. Obviously, Simoncic picking up the first 2 rounds back-to-back, but Erhan Yayovsky came along to challenge his dominance. And, well, he is back again today here at round 4 of 6. I was just thinking when I said round 5, I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's only round 4. I'm pretty sure it said round 5 in the opening video, though. I'm pretty sure it did. But as you can see, it is going to be qualifying into a 20-minute race, and there'll be 30 drivers taking part tonight. It is, once again, partly cloudy. We'll see whether that lends itself into any rain. And if you are wondering where the GT Pro is, that will be following. We are the warm-up race building into the GT Pro series, which Aidan will be taking you through later on tonight. So going into the BMWs, obviously we've got a lot of names in here. Now, there is nothing preventing everybody that is taking part in the GT Pro racing in this as well. It is obviously going to be a bit of a challenge because you're jumping in a BMW straight into whatever GT car you're in, but it does mean obviously it's open qualification. Speaking of which, I want to make it sure that you guys out there are well aware of the open qualification, because in 1 day's time, 22nd to the 24th of April is when the qualification for Sebring will be coming in. So you're going to have to get yourself time on there, get yourselves onto the Studio 397 forums. Obviously check it out. That is obviously the makers of rFactor 2. That is where the competition X area will be. So get yourself in there. You can maybe have a jump in the servers and see if you are good enough to race these guys at Sebring. I can see that Silverstone doesn't have a marker in there. I was going to say, Aidan, I know Erhan's final lap, or rather the final lap in total, was questionable. I didn't realize it was still in doubt.
Well, I was on the forum the other day. It turned out that he did get a penalty, so I think he got bumped down he got bumped down off the podium in the end. So he's got another chance today to have a crack at it. You can enter as many times as you like. It's not like, oh, you've won this race, you can't come back anymore. As it says, Marcel Chinchik has already won 2 on there. So yeah, it's just open. Set the fastest lap times you can around the track that's coming up, and you can be on the grid.
Correct.
It's open to everybody.
So Yuri Toman was given the win from that one. So it was Yuri Toman first, Chinchik second, and Risto Capit third. So interesting. That was, if you missed it, it was all about obviously the final lap, or almost the final corner, if you were, where Chinchik was defending. Went slow. I'm not going to lie. I thought he brake checked a little bit, went slow off to the left. Yayovsky did, of course, get caught out by that brake check, bumped him in the back, and it obviously left Chinchik out wide. Yuri came through along with Yayovsky, which means Yuri Toman will take the win, and that was in race number 3. So that means that the Varga Sim Racing team have won every round so far. I mean, you're looking at a man right here, Marcel Chinchik, but he's not in the Varga colours.
That's an odd one. Yeah, it's not showing us the Varga colours on in my rFactor 2 either. So he probably didn't submit a livery in time. I was going to say it's going to be the same livery, isn't it? So it's a bit of a weird one, that. But Erhan Yayovsky also not showing in a livery either. Neither is Risto Kappa, but Yuri Toman is.
Okay, I won't read too much into it then.
And Jonas Rabbio also is. So it's not a problem with us, I don't think.
That's okay. I won't read into that then. I'll just accept the fact that the liveries didn't work out there. So, but yes, okay. So as we were talking about, yeah, Yayovsky, we're expecting him to challenge once again here. You can see he's going pretty fast. It's not quite fast enough. 0.32 seconds off Risto Capit though. closing out behind him, putting more of a threat in there with Yuri Toman. Let's have a look. You see the times tumbling on down as Jason Shu's going to go over the line in 16th position. Looking like a good time for him. A new member, a new racer that we're seeing in the BMW series. A couple of new names in here as well, Aiden, but a lot of names that we've seen a lot of.
Yeah, names like Chinchik, Yoski, Capit, Toman, Ravio. They're going to be the guys at the top, the ones you'd expect. But down at the bottom, just having a look through, I mean, I recognise Scott Sovic. I raced against him in touring cars last year. He's pretty quick in sort of lower powered cars. Johan Drace, he's back. Diogo Silva is a name that you might recognise from the rFactor 2 Discord. Henry Cynic also there, just hovering around the top 10, as is Paul August Lana. So a load of new drivers, which is always exciting because you get to see how they fare against the top guys and see if they can be an upset on the cars, as I say.
The question is it Johannes or Philip tonight in the Drice?
It is Johan.
It is Johannes. Okay, we got Rama Malana in there as well. Obviously, been doing very well in the GT Challenge. Yunus Ravio, as you mentioned. Obviously, is he still one of your Sancho drivers?
No, he's gone off on his own. He's trying new things. He's just trying to get a fresh perspective on sim racing. Him and Yuri Kasdorp are the
I remember that at the start
racing. I can see Jonas joining a team at some point, but I think he's happy on his own, doing his own thing. He chooses when to do things and how to do things, and Marcel Chinchik getting a bit of the Tokyo drift on as he comes out onto the back stretch. Dipped a wheel in the gravel there. That's going to slow him down by a couple of K. There you can see.
Not quite enough though. They're looking good. I mean, he obviously tipped it with the purple. That was a decent first sector. Second sector just slightly off. Certainly not his personal best. That's cutting some corners. Not too sure. We were talking about track limits. Obviously, you know, it's a thing that's come into play a lot, certainly throughout sim racing. Something that came into play in the Formula One. That definitely would have highlighted for quite a few people out there about the track limits. It does count, though, it seems, at 207.593, as we see Julius Ravio doing some serious drifting and almost losing it on the curb there, and realised obviously gone a little too far.
Well, he is Finnish, so he's a bit of a Scandi flick through the chicane almost. But yeah, it's talking about the track limits. It's going to be like the Michael Schumacher S, where people are going to get really pinged for it. Maybe the chicane as well, because we're using the fast chicane here today rather than the slower Formula One style chicane. We see Andika Ramamalana goes flying through there, and he's overcooked it slightly. But the system here, it's fully automated. So you know, if you go through the detection box, game's going to go, that's a cut, that's a cut, that's a cut, but still, it's going to be a lot less strict than how it was at Silverstone with you know, Cops and Stowe and all the runoff that's there. So Risto Capit coming through the final corner, towards the start-finish line, and he's in third. There.
All right, Lewis. With lastminuteinformation.com. You posted it 2 minutes ago, let's be fair, while we were discussing it. So Yuri Kastorp, along with Alex Siebel and it's Dennis Jordan, isn't it? Dennis Jordan, they've all gone over to Red Bull Racing. So good on them. So they're now with Red Bull Racing. So fantastic stuff for them. It does mean that they've now got themselves in there. But unfortunately, no Red Bull liveries for them tonight, it would appear. Or certainly not yet for us.
Remy Delorme going off on the exit of Warsteiner. It still keeps it going. Hanyoski, he's up on his personal best, as he also goes through Warsteiner onto the back stretch. Private qualifying here, so the other drivers won't see any other drivers, but there might be a car in front of him. So Hanyoski just can't see him because it's totally private, but it's the fastest second sector for the Macedonian, as he absolutely launches it through the final chicane. The cut track detection, they're quite lenient. And then through the final corner, trying not to hit that tyre stack on the inside. Done that many, many times in various cars, but obviously Hanyoski, a much better driver than I am, as he comes up to the start-finish line, and that is pole position for Erhan. So a brilliant lap for him there. 400th
of a second takes the pole position. This is how much we were talking about. Marcel Chinchik, just look how slidey it gets. The rear tyres bouncing. Incredible stuff to see how much they can really throw into there. Diogo Silva, not a quick time for him though. 14th at the moment, 1.6 seconds to drift some serious big times for some of these drivers. It really does amaze me sometimes, especially with Diogo Silva. Obviously, he's a great racer, great driver overall. Just watching Risto cap it here, see whether he can post a quicker time. Looking fourth at the moment. Purple in the first, personal best in the second. Looking good for him as he comes around the final bend. Let's see what he can get over the line. Can he join Risto alongside? No, can't. Just fourth place once again. No improvement, unfortunately, in time for him.
Oof. That's commitment for Risto Capit through the chicane. Just catching a brief replay of that. Now we're looking at Yuri Toman.
Oh, hello. Sim Racing's on there.
Yeah. Yeah, they according to Jimmy Allison, it was a wrong number submission for a couple of them, and what was the other bit he said?
A problem. There was a problem. There's definitely a problem because we lost Heyde. That's how much of a problem there was. He's back. He's coming back. I think he went across to look at something but clicked the wrong button. But either way, he'll be back in a second. Yuri Toman, though, looking to improve his time. Only a fifth place position for him at the moment. So a long way adrift from that one. So a little work to do. The man that did end up picking up the victory at Silverstone and has been in second place there or thereabouts a couple of times. Obviously, with Varga Sim Racing, him and Marcel Shinchik have been dominating the BMW Sim M2 Cup so far. But it doesn't look like it's going to be an improvement for Mr. Yuri Toman. It's gone a little adrift, unfortunately, in the middle sector. 800ths off as he goes over the line. One last corner. Drift. And yeah, this is looking a little bit slower, unfortunately. Let's see, can he improve? He improves his time ever so slightly. It gets him ahead of Risto Capit up into fourth place, so locks him out second on the grid so far. Only a minute 24 to go as well. Risto Capit is out on track, so we'll see whether he can improve it or not. Jonas Ravio now coming over the line. 2:08.06 puts him in sixth place. Puts him in a great spot at the moment. Henry Sinek alongside, just behind, and Rama Milana in eighth place. Paul August Lana just coming up to his second sector. A personal best in the first, but still a long way off the pace. 1.4 seconds adrift is really incredible to me, just how much further these cars are. Aiden, you back with us?
Yeah, I'm back. I went to click on the thing in the Discord chat. I joined the GT Pro channel instead of clicking on BMW M2, but it was a wrong livery submission for Shinchik, and RHG just didn't submit one, so that's why they're just running stock BMW colours tonight.
Well, oh wow, whoa! Johannes Dries goes on pole position. Where did that just come from? And that is 600th of a second faster than Yajovski as well. So a fantastic time for Johannes Dries, a man that has been threatening multiple times throughout this BMW series and obviously been posting great times in the GT Challenge as well. Puts himself on pole position, just a couple of seconds remaining as well. And let's not forget, we are going to be cutting almost straight off in the BMW series. There is no running times until you finish. It's very much cut off and straight into the grid. So fantastic little steal from Johannes Dries there, taking pole position in the last second from Erhan Yajovski.
Yeah, he's going to be yelling "Stop the count," isn't he? Because that was where did that come from? He's a guy that we've seen sort of hovering around the top 10, and then he's just gone and banged in a lap out of nowhere to take pole position ahead of, you'd think, the favourite, Hanyowski, but Marcel Cinchik also there, and then Risto Capit in fifth. The top five separated by just over a tenth of a second. Jonas Rabia a tiny bit further back than Henry Sinek for Satellite in seventh, and Dickie Rama Milana in eighth position. Remy Delorme is in ninth with Paul August Lana for Volante in 10th, Nico Barkley for One Acco in 11th, and Johan Kerjen in 12th. And then it's Michael LaRue in 13th for Virtual Drivers by TX3, Diogo Silva in 14th, Andrea Tossetto, a new driver, in 15th in a very fetching slime green car. Tamir Benchik for Team Imperium in 17th, and Yuha Maki Yupi for Varga Sim Racing in 18th. I almost tripped over myself on that one. And then getting to the sort of further back up the grid
Quite a lot of new names down further down the field. I like it. As I was saying, everybody that's out there that is watching, you sim racers out there that think you can do better, well, you maybe can. Who knows? You can get yourself on the qualifying. That will be 22nd to the 24th. So in a couple of days' time, see whether you can qualify. It'll be on Sebring, of course. So definitely a track that may well suit this BMW. It's a bit bouncy on that final corner, but you should be fine. And here we go on the grid. 20-minute race. Let's get things on the way. The green light drops and away we go. It is Johannes Dreiser on the front. That looks like a great start from Marcel Simoncic as he cuts across in front of Yuri Toman, his teammate there, making sure he gets the inside line. But it's going to be Yuyovsky into the corner, and look at that. Yuyovsky goes through, but on the inside of him, Marcel Simoncic forcing his way through up into second place, and it is going to be the front two that we expected. There is yellows already being waved, so I don't know what's happened further down the grid. Hopefully it's been clean. It looks pretty clean so far, so a fantastic start from Yuyovsky and Simoncic.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anybody going tumbling down to the back of the field. I saw Michael Geisler, he went back a few positions, but nothing too major. Everybody nice and safe through the Mercedes arenas. A car just going off slightly at turn 4. But Erhan Yuyovsky has taken the lead ahead of Marcel Simoncic. It's about a 0.3 of a second lead already. So Yuyovsky straight out of the blocks.
Absolutely firing. And Simoncic start as well behind Dreiss. Span straight over behind Yuyovsky. Knew what he was doing. Knew he wanted that inside line. And unfortunately, Johannes Dreiss was just left a little out in the lurch there. Swings it on the inside. Yuri Toman up behind him as well. Risto Capit still languishing down in 5th place with Yunus Ravio in 6th. Henry Sinek down in 7th. Rama Malana in 8th. And then Delorme and Nico Barkley down in 10th place at the moment. This is just a flat-out race, remember. There is no switching. There's no sprint race into main race. This is simply a warm-up, getting that track ready and waiting for the GT. And what a beautiful little swing there from Marcel Simoncic. I don't think Yuyovsky was ready for that at all.
Yeah, Simoncic almost mugged Yuyovsky through that little section, but now it's bringing Johannes Dreiss and co into play. Toman Capit also joining in, and it's almost like 3 or 4 trying to go into what was a little bit of a tap there. Johannes Dreiss is going to have to cut the chicane. A little bit of contact from Marcel Simoncic there, and then it's all kicking off in behind as I think that's Toman and Capit, and now, who's that gone round?
Oh, that's just going to be Simoncic. That has to be Simoncic that's spinning around. It is, and he's going to go out further down the field. I don't exactly know how the contact worked out there. Yuyovsky is still in the lead. And we already saw he was getting very hot on that one. I think he took his teammate down as well. Yeah, Yuri Toman. So we need to have a look at a replay on that one to see how that all spun out there. Johannes Dreiss still in 2nd place, and it puts up Yunus Ravio actually challenging out with Risto Capit as everybody dives up the inside. That's Diogo Silva that came through in the orange car further down the field. My word. It has been a calamity. Silva spins. We see him there, and I think Toman just got caught as well. Yes, he did. Toman goes out and off the track as well. The winner of Silverstone goes down, and well, what is going on in the BMW Cup? This has turned into a bit of a banger car race than an actual GT bloody BMW race. He's off, another one got off. What is happening?
That's not Milana, but cars are going. Tossetto off. Sovic also off. It's just kicking off right at the back of the pack, and I'm trying so hard to keep up with everything, but I'm not made of eyes. It's just absolutely crazy.
Show us what happened here. So Yunus Ravio, we're watching. That's Simoncic in front. So Simoncic in the front blue. So who was that caught him? Because is that Risto Capit? That's Risto Capit, right? That's Risto Capit that caught him, I think, there, and then he just got clattered by his teammate. Yeah.
So. I think there's, and then
this is from the back. Okay, so this is Risto Capit's rear. So does Capit get clattered as well? So he's coming
I think
through.
That's Rama Milana in the purple car.
In the purple, yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, so he just launches it on the
into by.
I think it was Diogo Silva in the orange, right? That is, and then Diogo Silva gets nicely spun.
Clattered by.
Good grief! And that's Yuri Toman going out as well, who gets caught up in the same thing. My word, what in the world was going on there? Well, Jimmy Allison, I think he was getting prepared for GT Pro, but he's going to be very busy after that lap. That's for sure. But what it does mean is that Erhan Yuyovsky is home and dry. He sets himself a new best lap just to set the stall out. He's 1.4 seconds ahead of Johannes Thrice right now. And Yunus Ravio and Risto Capit looking good in third and fourth.
Yeah, Ravio is going to be under pressure from Capit probably on the next lap. He's done okay into the first corner this time around, but Johannes Thrice must be loving life right now. He's got a sort of 5-second gap between himself and Ravio right now. And Diovski just holding it nicely comfortably right at the front as we now see Ravio, Capit and Co coming through turn number 4, which leads up to obviously turn number 5. It's sort of a medium speed left-hand corner that goes downhill at the same time. Just going to try and keep the speed up and then get it slowed up for turn 6, which will lead it to the hairpin. But just trying to see, we've lost Yuri Tomin, we've lost Michael LaRue, we've lost Marcel Shinchik from this race so far. So it all kicked off within the first 6 minutes of this race.
Yeah, far from clean, I think is the safe way to call this one. Has been cleaner races, that's for sure. We did have some really entertaining racing last time, but this one's definitely been a little bit messy, wiping out a number of big names as well. As you say, Shinchik and Yuri Tomin both DNFs in this one, so that's a big F in chat, no doubt about it, because they are the previous winners of the last 3 races, all collected and clattered by that one. We'll see who exactly is the driver at fault. And they will be pretty swift in their punishment generally. It's been fairly quick, and generally we may even see a drive-through penalty forced out in the next 5 minutes. It's been generally pretty quick from Jimmy, but there was quite a lot happening within that lap. Yunus Ravio and Risto Capit here, as you see, Risto Capit looking to get a challenge in, having a little peek up the inside. Nothing coming out from Yunus Ravio there, though. Doesn't want to force him to go left or right, anything like Bottas would.
As long as he doesn't end up in a wall. So Risto Capit trying to find the best exit out of the final corner. Ravio using all of the runoff as well. Goes defensive up towards the pit wall, trying to block some of that slipstream from Capit in behind him. Looks like Capit's not going to get anywhere near close enough unless he absolutely sends it on the brakes, but he's not going to. He's just going to keep it nice and tight in behind Ravio into turn 1 here.
It's beautiful to see, though, the little lock up and slide that they do going through turn 1. And BMW M2's being strangled as they are forced to slow down. Henry Sinnick having a quiet one at the moment behind. Let's have a look. There we go. Nice little slidey. Oh, is this going to be the oh my word, that's Diogo Silva just launching Rama Malana.
Oh my
They will be racing each other in GT Challenge, by the way, next week, so we'll just keep your eye on that one.
It's almost Phillip Island V8 supercars with James Courtney and the French guy, I can't remember his name now, where he just went backwards into the guy's driver's side door, but managed to avoid turn 1 carnage fest there. So Ravio and Capit, half a second between them. Capit managed to throw the car into the hairpin there. Still, Ravio keeps the car ahead. And here is a replay of what happened at turn number 1. And that's Paul August Liner just dodging the Wanaka car and gets a bit of a whack from the Varga car. And then it's just, get out of my way, and...
So it was Nico Barkley that got clattered, which forced him to hit Diogo Silva, to spin Diogo Silva. That's what that looked like to me. So I don't think it really... Well, certainly Nico Barkley wasn't at fault because he was clipped on the back, which forced him into the side of Diogo Silva, which spun Diogo Silva. Diogo Silva, however... Well, he was definitely at fault for the Rama Milano. He was just way too late in the braking, it looked like. Yunus Ravio, though, and Risto Capit continuing to race. We'll see whether there is any penalties that are forced onto these drivers, because I don't know exactly their involvement that was in with the Marcel Shinchik. It did look like Shinchik was on a little bit of a wild lap in itself. We already saw him going a little bit wild in the first lap, but this time Risto Capit's close enough to put a challenge in. Let's see if he goes for it in turn 1. Hard on the brakes, tries to go wide, looking for the undercut maybe. Instead, he's going to try and swing it around the outside. He's going to go a long way to try and make that one work. And yet, certainly not the spot to make it work this time.
Yeah, Ravio giving him lots of space on the outside, trying not to force him clean off the road, because he might get a penalty that might throw him back down the order, and he wants to keep it in third place for now because he wants to get paid. But we see Chu in the pit lane. Don't know what that'll be for, but we've actually got some telemetry on screen. Speed, gear, revs, brake inputs. We can see how esport drivers do it. Take some notes. Might be able to get a little bit quicker. That's quite
flat.
Fall off.
And flat. That's exactly how it works. And change gear, flat. So it's more into the braking here, and it's hard on the brakes as you would expect. Down the gears, quick shuffle, and then a little bit of half, and then away, full flat. Away you go back into the straight, and nicely done, Yunus Ravio. Point of view, and Risto Capit hard on the chase right now. Why are we looking at third and fourth? Well, it's because it's a done deal, it seems, for first place, unless Yunus Ernahan-Jovski makes some sort of serious errors with putting in the fastest laps of the race. Johannes Dries at the moment, the pole sitter, is looking pretty good for second as well. Just chomping a little bit of time out of Jovski, but as you can see, they're 8 seconds clear of both Yunus Ravio and Risto Capit here, so it would have to be a pretty big mistake for first and second. Remember, $500 for first, $250 for second, and $100, which is what we're racing for here between Yunus Ravio and Risto Capit.
Yeah, Dries is going to be loving the fact that Ravio and Capit are continuing to battle here. It's close, heading up towards the final corner as they turn in, try and get the best exit again. Ravio will need to try and get the best exit he can to stop Capit getting in the slipstream. Capit want a good exit to get into the slipstream of Ravio, so it's all to play for into turn 1. I think Capit might just be close enough to try and make a send. Actually, no, he's might be too far back. He's not going to try and throw it in there. That's just going to cause all sorts of trouble.
Oh, he's gone up the inside, maybe. That looks like a good run-off there. Meanwhile, further down the field, Angel Sancho looking like he's going to try, but he is on the outside coming into turn 1 here, so you've got to assume that Parazza has probably got the better position. There is a driver just in front as well. Make sure you don't cut in too much. And that was just Parazza basically saying that's my line. But in the end, it is going to be a nice little overtake by Sancho there. So Yunus Ravio still under pressure. Risto Capit very much on his backside here, but they've got to be careful they don't get tangled up too much, because Cynic is not too far back behind these at the moment. Just going to be watching it play out, make sure they do collect each other. He is in a position to pass on by, but Risto Capit looks like he wants to try and make this position his own.
Heading into the hairpin. Trying to keep as close as he can, because we've seen that the slipstream isn't particularly powerful in these cars. Although we have been told that the slipstream has been increased slightly for GT Pro coming up later, so that's going to be very interesting to see down the back stretch and down the start-finish straight. But we turn our attention back to the BMW M2 CS Racing Cup. Ravio and Capit almost tandem drifting through the sort of left-right that takes you to the back stretch. See the DRS boards, no DRS on these cars. Look how close Capit is. Could he make a move into the chicane? It's tricky because he carries so much speed into said chicane. It's not going to be a hard braking zone here. Using the endurance version again, it looks like something you'd see in the Japanese.
Oh, he's got a good run.
He's going to try and launch it up the final corner. That's a gap that. Yep, and that's
beautiful. Beautiful, well worked, Risto Capit there. So through the chicane, you could see he was carrying the speed still. And I think he caught Yunus Ravio napping, but don't forget, Yunus Ravio is going to have the drift. We were talking about this drift, how big it was in Belgium down the Kemmel Straight. It was enormous. That was people just, like you say, it was almost like a big DRS wing being opened. And now you can see Ravio, has he got the undercut? Doesn't look like it, because he's going to be on the outside here. Tries to go for the undercut on Risto, but doesn't want to go for it. There wasn't really a gap there. Risto closed the door, and a beautiful overtake in the end for Risto Capit to take that third place.
Yep, if Gap Car saw that opportunity and took it, Capit probably thinking, I'm not going to get many more opportunities, I'll take it. But with just under 6.5 minutes remaining, so probably just got about 3 and a bit laps maybe. My maths isn't particularly good. I mean, if you listened to me commentate before, you know that my maths is absolutely awful. But coming into turn 6, a little bit of a slide from Capit, but Ravio isn't out of this just yet.
Yeah, it looked like Ravio was falling for the classic following your leader, as it were, and actually fell into the same mistake that Risto did. Hard on the brakes, looking once again to slide up the inside, but nothing open at the moment. Risto Capit looking like he's going to try and stretch his legs a little bit here, but let's have a look. Henry Cynic is not really in catching distance to get involved in this fight. It seems he's just fell a little bit. That's a big toe on the gravel there from Risto Capri. Like you say, that'd be a cut. I think the game gives them, 3 cuts, I believe it is, before they will be forced to serve a penalty. I'm not too sure exactly. I would have to double check that. Ravio looking to try and do similar to Risto Capri, but this time Risto not falling for it and holding steady at the moment. But Ravio does look like he's slowly falling back.
Yeah, it looked like Kappa got a much better exit out of Warsteiner onto the back stretch, but now it's going to be who can carry most speed through the chicane. Ravio may have got a tiny bit back, not enough to do to Kappa what Kappa did to Ravio on the previous lap, so it's all going to be about the exit of the final corner. I think Kappa's just got enough here. But
that's what I love about Nürburgring. What are the corners named after? Sponsor. Yeah. Sponsor. What sponsor is it today? It's a beer sponsor. Brilliant. There is a penalty for Ramo Milano, so we kind of expected that one, maybe. I think actually, wasn't it Ramo Milano got spearheaded? Maybe he's just he's kind of lost the plot a little bit in his race. There's Diogo Silva. That one we definitely expected. Henry Simoncic getting challenged here by Delorme. So Simoncic must have made an error, because Delorme was a good second back a moment ago, and that's going to be Simoncic just keeping hold of his position for now. A little kickback on the rear end there. Delorme looking to keep the pressure on, though, so that's a fight that's going to keep on going for the next 2 laps. Meanwhile, you can see just ahead, Jonas Ravio also putting the pressure once again onto Risto Capit.
Just 0.3 of a second between Capit and Ravio, but this battling is bringing Nico Barkley into things. So we'll see a 3-way battle for 5th place come the end of the race, as well as a battle for the podium. You can see the 2 battles there on your screen. But Remy Delorme trying to chase down Henry Simoncic. Delorme, a new driver to this series, doing very, very well on his debut here. See if he comes back for Sebring. Nico Barkley involved in many series across rFactor 2, but we go back to Jonas Ravio against Risto Capit. More dust being kicked up. That'll be a cut. So people trying to cut it mighty fine. I mean, like, the closer you get to 0 on the timer, you think, I've got a couple of cuts in hand, might as well use them.
He's got a bit
almost overcooked it. Almost did a Verstappen from yesterday. And
trying to carry too much through.
Yeah, but Ravio is close, but I don't think the slipstream on this back stretch is going to be enough for ascend into the chicane.
I'll tell you what, Nico Barkley's got very much on the heels of them as well. We've only got, as you say, it's a 2-minute lap, really, so we're going to have 1, maybe 2 left, depending on what Yayovsky is right now. It looks like he's gone over the line, Yayovsky, so we've probably got 2 laps left. I'm assuming he's a good 11 seconds ahead of these guys, so Mr. Capit will go over the line. He's going to have to defend this one for a little bit longer. Jonas Ravio wants his place back. That is a place in the money. He's going to be hot on his heels, getting the full draft down the straight, trying to get up the inside. That is a send. Someone. That's a little hard on the brakes. I'll tell you what, though, he's going to be a lot slower on the exit, whereas Risto Capit, you've got to feel, is going to be quicker. He will have the inside, and he should be able to hold it. We've seen many drivers going around the outside right there, but it doesn't work out this time in the BMWs.
Yeah, just looking at the screen, Scott Sobek's just tumbled down the order. But Risto Capit, Jonas Ravio, this is going to be the biggest battle of the day for that final money-paying position. Can Ravio catch up through 5 and 6 and get a run into the hairpin? That's a decent overtaking maneuver, or decent overtaking point if you manage to get it all hooked up through these 2 corners. But Ravio not quite close enough. Trying to close up on the brakes, it's still carrying enough speed. Now get the power down, try and get it onto this little straight. Still not close enough. As behind, you've got Nico Barkley catching right up to Simoncic and Delorme here.
Yeah, he's closed Delorme completely now as they've been battling for that 5th position. And you can see from Delorme's rear wing there, Nico Barkley, a driver that has been involved throughout GT Pro, GT Challenger for the last 3 seasons. A staple diet in rFactor 2, and at the moment he's looking to try and get himself an improved position here. This would be possibly, certainly this season would be his best position in the BMW Sim M2 Cup. Just amazing to see how much sideways they get from that in-car view. Like, kick the rear end out a little bit, just a little nudge to throw it out there and keep on it. He's right on the back end of Remy Delorme though here. He's not going to be close enough to make a throw up the inside. Remy Delorme himself is looking to try and do the same onto Henry Sinnick, and it may be a case if he tries to send it through there. Once again, back to the third place position, Aristo Cappi. You can see Yunus Ravio hot on his heels going into the finish straight. Will have one more lap to go. Oh, just overcooked it a bit there. You can see him sliding out too much.
Yeah, just overcooked it on the power, trying to stay within striking distance of Aristo Cappi. It didn't work too well for him this time, so he's not going to be able to send it into the first corner. A little bit of a lock up there, I think. I might have seen a couple of skid marks on the track, but I just closed up enough under braking. So Ravio has only got one more chance on this lap. He's very, very close right now. If he sees a gap, he might try and take it as Scott Sovic straight lines the chicane. Yeah,
you got to turn there, son. There's no doubt about it. You got to turn that wheel a little bit, but wasn't going to be able to hold it. Speaking of not holding it, Bensic going a little wild on the rear end there. Ramo Milano, after serving his penalty, is still in 11th place. Risto Capit still holding on to that final money position. Yunus Ravio hot on his heels. But let's not forget about the winner of this race that will be crossing the line in a moment. That would be Erhan Yuyovski, 7 seconds ahead of Johannes Dreisen, 13 seconds ahead of this battle that is going on right here. Here is Erhan Yuyovski. It has been a dominant win for him from the start, where he going a little cut in there. Make sure you don't get cut penalties on the final lap. That would kind of suck. But yeah, he's dominated. He's dominated from the start, no doubt about it. We saw Marcel Shinchik putting a challenge in on him right at the start, but he got a great start. He got ahead of the Johannes Dreis. I keep wanting to say Philip, his brother, but Ravio, what are you going to do? Left, right, not going to work out for him. Trying every position he can. Risto Capit, far too experienced, and making sure that BMW as wide as possible.
Yeah, the last opportunity for Ravio is going to be into that final corner where, as we cut back to Janioski to come through the final corner, as Benchik retires from the race out of 16th position. But Janioski finally takes a win in BMW M2 CS Racing Cup. He drifts his way over the line, almost puts it in a wall, but he's okay. Johannes Dreis, brilliant result for him. Finishes 6.5 seconds behind, so he's going to net himself a bit of pocket money. And Risto Capit just holds on to beat Jonas Ravio, bonking his horn in celebration.
No question this time about Yayovsky. He will be taking that victory. Further down the field, let's have a look at some of the new runners here. Tossetto trying to put a challenge in, try and cut up into that 14th position. A little too far adrift to try and send it here, though. Really looking to try and do the same with Lemoyne. Lemoyne gone a little wide there. Actually, was there a hole? No, couldn't try and send it up the inside. Lemoyne is hanging on. He's gone a little wide.
He might have this.
He might have this. I don't think he's going to quite have the drive. No, he won't. Tries to pull in the end. And in the end, it will be Lemoyne over on 12th position. So, what a great race. With definitely a questionable second lap. I think it was the second lap where things went very wrong for a lot of drivers. But outside of that, it was pretty clean. We'll just forget about that lap.
Yeah, BTCC starts next month, I think. It's it was a little bit chaotic, but sprint racing, it's going to be like people trying to force their way to the front. Sometimes they get a bit too excited. But there's your top 10. Erhan Yuyovski winning the race for R8G. So he's going to be very, very happy with that. He's just going to try and keep that momentum up through GT Pro, which is coming in about 10 or 15 minutes or so. Johannes Dreis is going to be very, very happy with second. Risto Capit in third after pretty much a race-long battle with Jonas Ravio, who takes fourth. Henry Sinnick for Satellite, he's in fifth. And then Remy Delorme, brilliant performance for the debutant. He's in sixth. Nico Barthwaite just missing out on that sixth place by taking seventh. Jon Kerjan has taken eighth. Michael Geisler in ninth, and then Paul Auguslana in 10th for Volante. So, and then there's the rest of the standings. So Juha Maki Jupi for Varga in 11th, Julian Lemoyne in 12th, then Sebastian Ree in 13th, Andrea Tossetto 14th, Scott Sovic dropped down to last at one point, back up to 15th, and Valentin Iliev for Simtek in 16th, and Timur Benchik DNF, but still managed to finish 18th, and Dika Ramamilana in 20th, and then Andrea Sancho and everybody else retiring from the race.
Yeah, lots of DNFs. Some previous winners in there. Marcel Shintik winning the first 2 rounds and Yuri Toman collecting the 3rd round. But round number 4, no question about it, goes to Erhan Yuyovski. Fantastic racing once again here in the BMW Sim M2 CS Racing Cup. Next stop for the BMWs will be in Sebring. You can qualify for that. April 22nd to April 24th. Get yourselves on the forums for rFactor 2 and check out exactly where that will be. That is it for the sim racing for the BMWs, but not over for sim racing overall. We're going to be moving on to the GT Pro Series. Rene Butler, Lewis McGlade, and of course our very own Aidan Millwall will be all here, ready and waiting to go. We'll see you in 5 minutes.
More Monday Live action is coming your way with the rFactor 2 GT Pro Series, powered up by Attraction at the beautiful Nürburgring. That's the track you got right in front of you for nearly halfway through the season. Season 3, it is my name. It's Rennie Butler alongside Lewis McGlade, and obviously we got Aidan Millward in the pits for you, covering all the action of tonight's pinnacle of GT racing. Lewis, new track, back to Germany. That should be an interesting start into the evening, as we saw the BMWs were quite competitive here.
Yeah, there was some interesting racing in the BMW Sim M2 CS Racing Cup just before this, but a track which is known well to the GT Pro drivers. We've been here in both of the previous seasons, so we've got 8 races of data when you count the 2 GT Challenge races, or 2 GT Challenge rounds, and the GT Pro races as well. We've had 5 drivers switch teams for this. Dennis Jordan, Alex Siebel, and Yuri Kasdorp head their way to Red Bull Racing Esports. We've also had Jan van der Heijden, more on him as well in a moment, as he goes to Rocket Simsport from Sancho, still under the same bracket though. Ferris Stanley as well heads from HME to Sancho Simsport, so 5 big changes and more to come in the second half of the season.
Sounds like we basically got our own silly season now here in rFactor 2 GT Pro Series powered by Traction, and we got 2 races coming up tonight. That's the important bit. There's qualification going on basically in the background right now. We'll jump into that very, very soon. Then there's a 15-minute sprint race, and then got the 45-minute main race with the top 10 being reversed. That will give us a lot of action. It normally does. But before we dive into that action, we should probably check what's going on currently in the championship and who is actually leading, because the important bit to know about the GT Pro Series is that you've got 1 drop round. So if you're away for a race, or you had a really awful start into a race or a crash, then it doesn't really matter, because that 1 result will be dropped anyway, and you don't need to be worried about that one. Interesting, Lewis, in this season is due to the draft we had and due to the weight penalties we had. Now, there was a new BOP for this race as well. Standings are highly mixed.
Well, courtesy of 6 different race winners across the first 6 races. In fact, only 1 driver that's won any of those 6 races is a driver that has won a race previous, and that was Nikodem Wisniewski last time out when he took victory at Silverstone to take his 5th victory and go to 2nd on the all-time standings list. A driver who is looking to do well here today, as across the previous 4 races in GT Pro, he's had 3 podiums at the Nürburgring circuit.
Was that
Nikodem Wisniewski.
Wisniewski? Really? 3? I mean, that is probably a record besides Nijovski, who had a great run at the previous 2 seasons. But standings are on your screen. Johnny Simoncic is currently leading with drop rounds. So what you see marked in red, that is the worst result. No, it's the other way around, is it? No, that should be the worst result that someone has, and it's not in the standings. Means Simoncic in front of Jan van der Heijden, then Nuno Pinto for Fort Zilla, a name that we didn't saw among the top 15, I would say, the previous 2 seasons. He finally comes alive. Then Jakub Brzezinski and Dennis Jordan rounding out the top 5. As so far, there are obviously another 3 races, 1 tonight, and then we got Sebring in Indianapolis still coming this season. But besides the normal standings, there is also what we call the VCO Rookie Award, and that is something with specific rule sets, and obviously people that are that can win it, which are rookies. And I think that Aidan Millward knows way more about that than I do.
Yeah, as you say, the rookies for the GT Pro Series this season have a chance to make their own prize money, just in case they're still at the bottom, so they've still got something to play for, something to fight for. And actually, it turns out that the top-rated rookie is the guy that's currently in 9th position. That's Timotej Andonovski with 362 points, who is followed by Kasper Stolzer with 360, Luca D'Amelio 350, Jordi Zveers 347. Then you've got a little bit of a gap back to Alan Terzic on 329, Ibrahim Khan on 323, and Turka Hakan on 312 points. So very close between the 7 rookies so far. Just 1 bad round from any of them. The drop round, if they do that badly in return, the other people do well in comparison, if that makes any sense. It could all turn on its head, and you could see Turka Hackman climbing back up those rankings by the end of tonight even. So it's all to play for them. Very exciting.
It definitely is. And just to explain that, rookie means whoever is in the first season of GT Pro, because there's the Pro Series. They're not really rookies around, but whoever is in for their very first season. But Aidan, there's even more for our viewers out there tonight, as always with GT Pro, because there's the Fan Attack, right?
Yeah, the Fan Attack competition. Very, very, very simple stuff. All you have to do is just screenshot any Fan Attack logo. So that could be this card that you're looking at right now. It could be a logo on a car. It could be on the little ticker at the top of the what do you call the broadcast tower. Just as long as it's a Fan Attack logo on the screen, take a screenshot, post it on Instagram or Twitter, and then add the hashtag GTProS3 and the hashtag Fan Attack. And hopefully I'll be butchering your name later on in the evening if Paul Jeffrey is going to be very evil to me again tonight.
I'm pretty sure he will try to be a nice guy. Thank you, Aiden. Obviously, we'll give it to you a bit later during the race or after the races to know what's going on right at the track. And Lewis, I think it's time for us to actually have that look at the track. We got the beautiful B-roll so far from the Nürburgring GP, but there is qualification already underway. I could probably hear them from here if they would be racing in real life right now. Beautiful weather. That's good. It's not the typical Eiffel weather, totally destroying everyone's dreams in terms of racing. Well, let's see who's the quickest on the tarmac so far. Well, we got first on screen a brand new car here, not a brand new driver, as Dennis Jordan was in the championship previously already. But this is a beautiful Red Bull Racing Esports livery, one of the new teams that basically joined the series with taking drivers from other teams.
Yeah, they've grabbed Dennis Jordan from Burst, who was a part of that outfit for this season. Obviously only did 3 rounds, then moved over from Evolution, taken Alex Siebert, who's in the Audi R8, and then Mr. Yuri Kasdorp will be joining them in that Porsche. So no more Bert, which it all says over the car. We've got a beautiful Red Bull Racing Esports livery on that one for him. Not too confident in his car this evening, although I did speak to him earlier. He's pretty happy that he is back with Dennis Lind, who actually runs things for G2 Esports. He's one of the team managers for G2 Esports, who, of course, run things behind the scenes for Red Bull Racing Esports. So, in a sense, after nearly a year apart from Dennis Lind, after he left Singularity, he is back with Dennis Lind in a sort of management role. Either way, the focus on Dennis Jordan today, he said that he was quite confident about the pace in this car. The last time that Red Bull Racing Esports were part of the championship, when we raced here in season 1, Joni Tormala took the win in the feature race. Obviously, the only win that we saw from the Red Bull Racing Esports squad. Did get a pole position at Virginia, which we don't head to this season, but it is great to see these colours back out on the circuit.
I remember they had a great race at Virginia before the actual spin. Cost them a lot of places. But yeah, they have been with us for Season 1. They're back for Season 3. Great to see that. And currently, Jordan's also the quickest driver on the track, followed by Simoncic, who's also first now in the standings after drop rounds. Wisniewski in third after a great race on the previous round. Nuno Pinto fourth. And then Michi Hoyer again in fifth. Really shows a strong pace each and every round. Doesn't matter the track, Michi Hoyer is always someone that you expect to be well within the top 10.
This was the circuit that Michi Hoyer proved the doubters wrong back in Season 1 of GT Challenge. Took a win at Silverstone in the wet feature race of that first season in GT Challenge. That was round 1. Round 2 was here. Came into this round and got pole position and got the race win as well. It was a really fantastic drive from Michi Hoyer, and he's been going from strength to strength. Of course, he ended up winning the championship in the car he is in that season. Back in Season 1, so hopefully looking to favour his fortunes once again. Looking like it's going to be a pretty tight qualifying session. It is important to note that back in round 2 of Season 1 of GT Pro, this was the closest ever gap for pole positions, just 0.06 of a second separating Kevin Siggy and Erhan Yuyovski. Yuyovski is back on circuit this evening, and of course the note with him, obviously after being away from the previous round at Silverstone courtesy of a round ban, the 2 times we've come here, the 2 sprint races that we've had here in GT Pro, Erhan Yuyovski has been the driver to win both.
It will be a lot harder for him today. I mean, he just comes out of the BMW M2 Cup car, which is completely different to the GT3s we're racing right now, and he is in 23rd, although that's only 0.6 seconds off of pole position, so it's really crazy in Nürburgring regarding the pace and the lap times everyone's putting down. Jakub Brzezinski, another of the BMW Team GB drivers, currently in his outlap. He will look for a faster time at 8th right now. Jan von der Heide, so that gives us a first look at the new Rocket SimSport livery that the team is using here. So not Sanjo SimSport anymore, because That, by the way, dude, we're not doing 24-hour layout, so don't turn to the left there. But, oh look, I mean, you should know way more about this, how everything happened regarding Zansho, SimSport, and Team Rocket, so tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, so a partnership that's been in the works for a little while. They've done a little bit of work together previously, but Rocket SimSport being run, of course, the famous colours that Jensen Button made famous back in 2009, run with Al Buncombe as well. Under the banner of Rocket SimSport, behind the scenes, you've got Mike Gow and Ed Trevelyan Johnson making things happen for that team and sort of becoming an elite SimSport squad and a higher division of the Zansho outfit, and doing very well. It is important to note, though, with Jan van der Heide, is that he is the championship leader if you remove the drop score. So if you include all 3 rounds, rather, so you don't have a drop score. But I am going to be a little bit harsh here. I don't think he's going to do so well today. That isn't because it's the circuit. That isn't because it's the car. That isn't because of pressure. It's because he's not on his sim rig at the moment. He is not at home. He is out in Munich, courtesy, I think it was of some work or something of that description. So he was out in Munich. And Ed Trevelyan Johnson gave a little bit of a phone call to the team manager of BS Competition, who is based in Munich, that is Florian Harsper, was like, hey, my driver's in Munich and he can't get home in time. Do you mind if we if he uses one of your sim rigs? And Florian, being the nice man, of course, team manager of Alan Terzic and Mohamed Patel and that lot elsewhere, was like, yeah, sure, go on, hop in. So teams helping other teams out. Lovely to see.
And definitely, it's one of the upside that we have in sim racing, right? This community and family feel, which is what we all want to see them fighting on track, but obviously don't have to fight off track. So it's great to see some help there and getting him on the way. But yeah, racing in a different sim rig, that's completely different. That sounds weird, in a different sim rig being different, but yeah, it's a lot harder. That's for sure. Kevin Rotting, currently only 29th, will not be happy about that one. Kevin is a very, very fast driver. Wojciech Polesny coming 20th. Who else in there? Ferris Stanley, 11th now for Zansho. So nearly there in the top 10.
Yeah, doing a solid job. Obviously, they've got 2 Ferraris now with Ibrahim Khan. There's a look at all of the Red Bull Racing esports liveries, and they do look fantastic. Confirmation that Seaboard, Jordan, and Kasdorp have moved over there. Said Yuri Kasdorp, he's not feeling too confident about this circuit today. Ferrari doesn't seem too well matched. But nevertheless, trying to do what he can. You can see there's been a little bit of a change here as Michi Hoyer has gone up into 3rd place for Burst. Nuno Pinto, after that tragic race, that feature race at Silverstone, has been dropped down now to 4th place. Wisniewski and Brzezinski 5th and 6th. But Dennis Jordan, look at this. He's going faster and faster.
And definitely, he has a great time once again. He might even put another pole time up, bringing us in the 148, maybe. He crosses the line. Yes, he does. 148.9. So just being the only driver in the 48s feels good, right? I mean, it's at least a second separate, but basically when reading it. But Yuri Kasdorp still coming around the second Porsche with Payo Path parting the other Porsche in the grid, 911 GT3R. Let's see, still 20 seconds, so it seems like it's definitely not the track for the Porsches, because also Payo Path is struggling. We quickly saw, speaking of Shara, only in 27th in his Bentley. Look at D'Amelio crossing the line, up into 9th now, sending Alan Terzic down to 10th. And with that, Turka Hakkinen in 11th and Ferris Stanley in 12th. Turka Hakkinen will probably be quite happy with 11th. That should look good, but the GP track, it's fairly short, it's pretty wide, and it opens a lot of opportunities to make a move, like down to Dunlop Corner, for example.
Yeah, it's a pretty tricky circuit, all things considered. There's a lot of corners that can catch you out, but for Dennis Jordan, he'll be pretty happy with that, especially considering the stats that we've had this season when it comes to pole positions. Of course, it was broken last time out with Kasper Stolz's victory, but alas, the rule was, coming into it, was that basically pole position would set you up for a pretty handy race win. 5 of the 6 races this season have seen that happen. Kasper Stolz, the only one in there that won from, I think it was 2nd or 3rd on the grid back at Silverstone after Nuno Pinto's lead was dissipated, courtesy of a disconnection. But I wonder how that's going to work out here with some slight changes. I'm feeling that Dennis Jordan's going to have a lot of pressure behind him today.
Yeah, especially since down into turn 1, so much can happen. You can basically go full wide down there, but you don't want to be on the far inside because there's obviously this ditch that you're basically dropping in, and it can spin the car around. You don't want to be too far on the outside as it might get pressured onto the grass and all that. So T1, I would say, is probably the most problematic start we have. And not in terms of risk for big crashes, but in terms of how many positions you can gain or lose depending on which lane you have chosen down there.
It can be treacherous. It's a difficult circuit to overtake at, and some of the drivers try to take advantage as much as they can on lap 1. Naturally, we see that everywhere in sim racing and motorsport, but here more so than most of the other circuits on the calendar. Whilst it is a long start-finish straight and that run into turn 1, it is a difficult one to pass on. I'm sure we're going to see some drivers taking as big an advantage as they can, especially to try and get themselves up inside that top 10 for the reverse grid in the feature race. I think we're about to see the grid, and we'll see that Dennis Jordan and Jerne Simoncic on that front row of the grid. We'll see how that one unfolds for them. Dennis Jordan looking for his second victory when it comes to things in the GT Challenge Series. There he is for Red Bull Racing Esports. Jerne Simoncic and Michi Hoyer, third position. Nuno Pinto, one of the drivers that was looking so strong going into the previous round. Unfortunately, it all fell apart at Silverstone. Wisniewski and Brzezinski on row 3 with Alex Siebel in his new colours. Heads Timotej Andonovski, one of the newer drivers for Cetres Nita Belix, and a race winner here in GT Challenge. Luca D'Amelio and Alan Terzic round out the top 10. Not too much practice for Terzic. We're pretty happy with 10th place. Turka Hakkinen and Ferris Stanley. Zancho Simsport's new recruit will go from 12th. Two-time runner-up in the championship, Kevin Siggy will head from 13th position with Arne Schonfleet, and Jordi Veers, our first race winner of the season, rolls from 15th, and Peter Berliak will roll off of 16th place. Lorenzo Arisi and Ibrahim Khan 17th and 18th, with Risto Capit fresh out of the BMW Sim M2 CS Racing Cup from 19th, and Kasper Stoltzer, your last race winner, will start all the way down in 20th. Wojtek Polesny and then Red Bull Racing's last recruit, Yuri Kazdorp, from 22nd position. Satellite Racing's Jimmy Nasula and two-time champion Erhan Yovski from 24th on the grid. Peo Pev, Jonas Raivio, Zbigniew Shara, Jan von der Heide, and it'll be Kevin Rotting rounding out the grid. As always in GT Pro, there'll be some drivers that will be fairly disappointed from their qualifying effort, but for those that are qualified outside the top 10, if they can get to that 10th place, we've seen it time and time again this season, that is how you save your evening.
And another thing that we should highlight going into this Nürburgring race, besides the silly season that we already talked about, the drivers have changed teams. There's Ferris Stanley now with Zancho. He was with Satellite HME previously. Or was it HME?
It was HME this season and Satellite before.
Satellite previously. All right. Yeah. Oh, so Ferris Stanley's with us for 3 seasons by now. But another thing that we might quickly want to touch on is the change in BOP, with the Aston losing 5 kilograms, the Audi 2019 model lost another 10 kilograms, Ferrari 10 kilograms, and the Radical 5 kilograms. So it might change things a bit again. We saw the previous races, we had all kinds of cars fighting each other, which was kind of cool to see. But we also see that this is definitely not the track for Porsches, because otherwise I would expect Yuri Kastrup to do a lot better. But this time, it is the Bentley of Dennis Jordan, who's chased down by 2 of the Audi R8s.
Yeah, it's going to be a hard effort for him. Obviously, his 2 former teammates going into this. He was teammates with them for the previous 3 races of the season. That ends today as Red Bull Racing Esports will start once again from pole position on their return to the championship. We're underway in the GT Pro Season 3, powered by Traction.gg, and we're already 3 wide on the start-finish straight as Nuno Pinto is trying to slot his way between the 2 Burst Esports cars. We're riding on board with Kuba Brzezinski as they're diving their way down into turn 1. It seems fairly clean as they run through. Dennis Jordan leads. Jerne Simoncic and Michi Hoyer battling it out. Same with the 2 Team BMW GB cars as well. Wisniewski is going to come out on top in that battle as he's chasing down his 4th podium at the circuit.
A ton side-by-side action right now as Nuno Pinto still tries to squeeze in between the 2 Burst Audi R8s, but couldn't find a spot yet. Another Red Bull in the background that wants to make a pass. Look at that now. That's the view of Nuno Pinto onto Simoncic and Hoyer. Hoyer up to 2nd already. That was very close there. Under braking for Nuno Pinto, but it isn't easy at all to find a way around the team. But we see Simoncic already on the defensive line, going down to Dunlop corner for the very, very first time, braking on the curb. But there was absolutely no chance here to get a big Bentley on the inside.
Yeah, he is looking aggressive, is Nuno Pinto. After a disappointment last time out, he's looking to make amends for that situation and count as a drop score, get his head up and move on. He is feeling pretty confident in this car, and you are absolutely seeing that. Dennis Jordan has absolutely cleared off. There is a lot of pressure on Nuno Pinto's shoulders, as you can see looking backwards. Michi Hoyer's doing a fantastic job, and the train rolling downhill. There's been a little bit of contact in the background as they ran through the likes of Fulco, Valvoline, all that lot towards the back end. Looks like we're seeing even further contact. It's Jimmy Nasula who's off, causing a yellow flag. Kasper Stolzer, your previous race winner, down to 28th place. Wojtek Polesny down to 29th. It has been a troublesome effort for some in the back of the pack, but for the most part towards the front, it has been clean, hard battling.
I saw someone dropping further down. I'm not sure who that was. I think Kasper Stolzer lost a ton of position because he should have been around 20th. And now we see that Pavis 21st and Shara even dropped into the top 25. So I think Kasper Stolzer is out, but Nuno Pinto in the worst spot. I mean, he got two burst cars in front of him, two Team GB BMWs behind. No teammate to back him up here, as he's the only driver for Ford Zilla in this championship. Who's doing good so far, interestingly enough. Dennis Jordan, you said it already, leaving everyone else in the dust. He really had a great start. He's up to nearly 2.5 seconds of a gap already.
He's checking out as things stand, but I will give one stat out to you, and that comes to fastest laps in the season across the 6 races that we've had so far. If you set a fastest lap, you don't take a victory, because all 6 fastest laps have come from outside of the person that ended up being victorious. This is in the mid-pack of the race. Jimmy Nasula, who we're riding on board with. You've got Kasper Stolzer ahead. You've got Yuri Kastop in there as well. Polesny, there is... Oh, that's what happened to Polesny. Away he goes in that 650S. Kevin Rotting taking advantage of that whole scenario. And then watch as they run down the hill, because it was just chaos in that mid-pack. Alas, towards the front, we actually saw some pretty decent tussles.
Everyone wanted to take a chance here early on in the race to win some positions. That's the usual. Kasper Stolzer currently listed as being in the pits, 29th. So you see the timer going up there was over 1 minute already. So he will be out of the race for this one, even if he might finish it. Nothing to gain for him. Yuri Kastop now on 20th, right behind Lorenzo Resi. While we're still with Nuno Pinto. I love that livery, and it looks even better and colorful between, 2 bursts and 2 Team GB ones. Interesting. Also, Alex Siebel is still right behind the BMWs, but we didn't saw him a single time yet to really try to at least show himself in the rearview mirror, especially here in 2-1.
I did a little bit of research back onto the first race that we had here when we went to GT Challenge at this venue, which Alex Siebel was a part of that day. He was in a BMW, so slightly different than his current outset on the Audi front, but ended up finishing 6th in the sprint race and then won the feature race. So there is potential for him to try and repeat that effort and maybe take himself a first victory in the series. This is on board with Kasper Stolzer up towards the Michael Schumacher-esque behind Lorenzo Arisi on replay. Let's see what happened to him. You've got Risto Capet ahead. You've got Yuri Kastop behind. Oh, he's just going to misjudge it on his brakes, and away he goes and into the barrier. That is quite a hard hit, and he lost a wheel for good measure.
Yeah, that was very harsh there. I think he realized that everyone else was a lot more bunched up than he expected, a lot slower than he expected, and then he couldn't get the car to stop in time. Great also to see in this replay, the new feature that we have. We can now see the inputs of the drivers, gearing and RPMs. You saw that on the bottom right in the lower third there. So great information we get now from the cars, bringing you exactly what the driver was doing at that moment. Still Nuno Pinto behind Simoncic and Hoyer, while Jordan is up to 2.5 seconds now. Seems like he's not gaining as much time anymore as he did in the early parts of the race, but Hoyer and Simoncic are definitely also not closing the gap, that's for sure.
And when it comes to things for the championship, stuff is looking very, very good for these drivers up towards the front. Of course, we're past the halfway point now, so it is time to really start thinking about championship standings and stuff, which is quite hard to think about when you're a driver, and you've got drop scores as well to think about. It's best just to do the best that you can, which Dennis Jordan is presently doing. If you remove the drop score idea and you just have the 3 rounds so far, Jan van der Heijden was leading from Dennis Jordan, who leading the way at the moment is looking very, very strong indeed. Alan Terzic in this important battle for 10th place. He's got to get by Luca D'Amelio. These two battled it out for a race victory in GT Challenge or 2 in the previous season. They're going to continue to battle it out for what could be the most important position of the day, either starting 11th or starting from pole in that feature race could be very, very important.
Yeah, Lintus definitely has his eyes on that. So does Turka Hakkinen in the background in the blackened, I would say, neon yellow Audi R8. And then it's the BMW from Kevin Siggy right behind. But yeah, Ellen and Luca D'Amelio here. That is a McLaren against the mighty BMW M6. He goes for the inside. There's a touch with the McLaren. We see that one is definitely hurt. The door is a bit bumped there, but nothing happened. Luckily, that was the very first time we see Ellen Turcic really sending it up the inside. Didn't really work out for him. The contact wasn't too much of momentum there to really finish this move, but it gave a clear signal to look at D'Amelio that Turcic is willing to make a move and that he's definitely capable of doing so.
They battled it out back in Portland last season in GT Challenge, which actually ended up in Alan Terzic's victory. It was the other way around that day as Luca D'Amelio was trying to apply some pressure. Of course, it is important to note that Luca D'Amelio has already been up towards the front end this season. Alan Terzic nearly won himself a race, but didn't end up coming out on top at Spa. But Luca D'Amelio did win, and that was obviously the first round of the season when he took victory at Imola, a fantastic race. Timotej Antonovski was the driver who came behind him that day. Of course, Antonovski a little bit up the road for Setresny Tvelik after jumping out from Drillers Esports. There's been so many stories so far this season, and to be fair, it seems very much like it is going to continue. Alan Terzic, this is his best opportunity to try and make something stick, but again, that drag from the final corner to T1 just doesn't look good enough.
He wasn't close to really get into turn one here. Might have a better exit with the BMW, but that's a front engine car, so obviously there's way more traction naturally on the McLaren right in front of him. This is Mercedes Arena, especially the left-hander here, the second one that you really have to trail brake into, then stick to that curb to get a good run at the next right-hander is so crucial. You can lose a ton of time there, and that kill a lot of dreams for race wins, that corner, especially since you can slip the car easily, turn it around. But Turcic is closing the gap every single time on the braking here. It's the second time now that he comes closer like that.
Doing everything that he can, but the thing is, like, how many times have we spoke about this before, where it's one thing to close, other thing to pass, and as much as he's getting close enough, that 650 looked impossible to pass at Imola, looks pretty tricky to pass here today as well.
And they lose a bit of time because they're definitely not close enough anymore to Ferry Stanley to get him involved there. With a Ferrari 488 that's currently listed at position 9. Jordan now up to 3.2 seconds, by the way. So Dennis Jordan, his very first race for Ripple Racing Esports, showcasing why it was the right call to pick him for this team. Oh, that was, look at the D'Amelio going a bit wide there into the gravel trap. Luckily, he was out enough quickly. We'll give it a chance to Turcic here into the chicane. It's a very fast one, so if we would go for the other chicane, there might have been a better chance, but look how close he is now with the BMW. But get a quick replay of the start here. That's Jonas Raivio.
And he focused his attention on BMW Sim MTCS Racing Cup earlier today. That is an awful start. Said that Michi Hoyer's one last time out was pretty bad when he started from, what was it, third position or second position, and he ended up dropping way down the order. I think it's fifth or sixth. Was Hoyer's start at Silverstone. That one's a different level, pretty bad.
he was afraid of running into the reticle there, and then braked a bit too hard, and that was exactly the moment where everyone wanted to go green. Very unfortunate there for him.
Yeah, by the way, for anyone wondering why we've got 29 cars, as I think we've got Shara and Jan Vlota Heyde battling out for 25th position, considering how many times that was switching over on the leaderboard there. It is Haniel Sabti is the driver that is missing today. Of course, he's been missing from the championship for a couple of rounds. What did he do last round? No, he did do last round. Yeah, he's not had the best season as Haniel Sabti, obviously in that radical as well, alongside his teammate Erhan Yovsky, and alas, not taking part. He was second, or joint second on the all-time winners list with Nikodem Vishnevsky, who took over second full-time at the previous round. Vishnevsky, as I've said before, when it comes to the 4 races that we've had here in GT Pro, he's had 3 podiums. Across those 4 races, it looks like that isn't going anywhere today because he's currently running in 5th place and has got a lot of work to do to try and get by this man, Nuno Pinto, and Jerne Simoncic ahead.
Yeah, they're still trying. These BMWs were following the Bentley the entire sprint race so far, but they've never been that close. Wisniewski now is in striking distance. And I was actually thinking if they would wait for Nuno Pinto to start making a move on Simoncic and then might get the upper hand on that due to both losing a bit of time, but Nuno Pinto never really had a chance here to challenge Simoncic or Hoyer since we started the race, basically since lap 2. But Wisniewski is closing that gap. Another 3.5 minutes to go. There might still be enough time to get that move done, to get further up ahead. See what we get as another replay. That's gone from the Heyde. And speaking of Shara and the BPM car right in front of him, Shara here missing the apex there and then running a bit over the gravel trap, which got Jan van der Heyde to get a bit closer here. But look at that. He's not going for it because that braking zone is very short and not much time there to really use a better braking car to get up the inside.
It's one thing that maybe in this race doesn't matter too much with the running over on the exit part of the Schumacher S, but track excursions will become a thing in the 45-minute feature race that follows this, because trust me, in that race you do not want to be picking up too much, because a drive-through penalty round here will be extremely costly indeed. It's a very, very slow pit lane and quite a long one as well when you account for its run in. We're still seeing this battle between the two Burst Esports drivers. I'm pretty sure they'll be happy running second and third as things stand. But the battling behind, as you can see, that Nikodem Wisniewski is trying to make a move on Nuno Pinto into the background, but no way through, runs out and over the exit curve. Then on the inside of Varstina, Jakub Brzezinski will go around the outside of him and will grab the top 5 position. Wisniewski dropping backwards. Alex Siebel will be all over the back of him, trying to jump on any solution up towards the chicane. I don't think he's going to be quite close enough or brave enough to do so. This is where Timotej Andonovski made a move for the race lead in GT Challenge last season, and he was looking to try and make something stick on Siebel as well in the background, as the two R8s are going very, very close nose to tail.
Even looked like Andonovski managed to be on the inside, and he did. Yes, he's now side by side once again with Alex Siebel. Ceteris Peter Velox now. He's on the inside. Might be a bit better into turn 1, but we also got a Stanley waiting right behind. Oh, look at that. There might be a gap opening very, very soon if these Audis can't figure out how to go through that corner, but they did, with Andonovski now being listed as 7th and Alex Siebel being sent down to 8th. That was a fight that went on for what, like 3 to 4 corners, and it's still going on. Andonovski being nearly spun around, luckily into the right direction right after. Siebel still in between him and Stanley. Wow, that was the 5th corner by now, and they're still going strong.
Yeah, behind us as well, Jordi Veers, Turka Hakkinen are going side by side in the background for 30 to 40. They've come together and they are going well off the road behind this. So Turka Hakkinen is gone with his old teammate Jordi Veers away and over the gravel trap in the background. We'll go and catch that one as well. There was a tight tussle between Luca D'Amelio and Alan Terzic as well as they ran through T1. A large bit of contact between the two as they ran off the corner, must be said. The two are battling out as hard as they can. For Terzic, he is desperate for something to happen to anyone ahead, because realistically in this scenario, if something does happen ahead, then he doesn't have to make the move as desperately. That's what happened between Nikodem Wisniewski and Nuno Pinto. Contact on the exit of the corner, and then as they came through the second part of Varstina, the position was done from Jakub Brzezinski. Final lap of the race coming up, and Dennis Jordan leading by 4 seconds at the moment.
He definitely has a great race, perfect sprint race for him. Let's see how we can do that from 10th. But Nuno Pinto now finally has to give up his position to Jakub Brzezinski. He might even lose another one to Wisniewski. Yep. Oh, he was too much on the curb. Couldn't really brake proper into the corner. That also opens the door for Andonovski now, who's going through on the inside. And all of a sudden, Nuno Pinto from 4th down to 7th in just 2 corners, and he might even get more unlucky as Alex Siebel is locking onto him with the Audi on the inside, up the inside, better under braking, going into turn 1. Andonovski snacking another one. What is happening to this guy? He's on fire right now.
Yeah, Andonovski moving up to the top 5. I think this might almost be a little bit of a tactical move from Nuno Pinto. He's dropped back quite a few positions, is now in the clutches of Ferris Stanley, potentially dropping back to a 10th place to go and get that reverse grid pole position. Read into that what you will, and whether you like it or don't, it does seem to be the direction that he is headed. 3.4 second lead for Dennis Jordan, looking very, very comfortable. Timotej Andonovski doing quite well. Ferris Stanley and Nuno Pinto are battling out very close. Oh, and there goes Andonovski off the road by himself. He's going to drop back and right into the clutches of the pack. He makes contact with Luca D'Amelio on his rejoin. Alan Terzic as well is going to try and get through into Dunlop. And this could be massive because this is for 10th place. Alan Terzic, he was waiting for it to be delivered his way. There's contact as Andonovski tries to come back. And look at that. 2-time series runner-up Kevin Siggy, looking to finish 11th place for the second consecutive sprint race, gets that position done.
Oh, look, Kevin Siggy is an absolute hero for me. What he did on the BMW last season was mind-boggling, and he's really good as of right now. And you basically jinxed Andonovski. We're like, oh, he's a great runner. I said he's on fire, and then right there at the corner, he missed the braking point, got onto the dirt with the left tire, and off he goes. Lost a ton of positions there. He's now down to 12. He was in 5th previously. He will be furious. And that's Nuno Pinto. Jumping even further. What is that? Is there an issue with the car maybe, or his equipment?
Well, over the line, Dennis Jordan for his second race victory in GT Pro takes top honours here at the Nürburgring, where Red Bull Racing Esports had done it before. There is so much drama going on. Nuno Pinto with more bad luck. And do you know what that means? That means that Kevin Siggy grabs 10th place. And with that will be on your reverse grid pole. It's BMW 1-2 for the second race. And wow, what drama was that? Let's take a look at what happened to Timotej Andonovski, who's going to come across the line 11th place as we run down the hill towards Ford. Just gets a massive snap out of Valvoline, and a costly mistake that really didn't need to be made. Rejoined the circuit. Alan Terzic came through as well. Absolute drama for Dennis Jordan at the front, though. Must say, hats off. That was dominant.
Oh, that's why I love the GT Pro Series. There's always so much action all over the track, and these final minutes, they totally played off for the entire season in some of the other championships out there. It's like, that was massive fun for everyone. Dennis Jordan, he didn't saw a lot of that. For him, it was probably a very calm race with not much going on. Great start, great consistency across the 15 minutes. There was never anyone questioning his win here. He was the only one that could stop himself. That's Nuno Pinto. Let's see. He's on full throttle, shifting up to 5th, and
I reckon fuel.
Oh, he must have run out of fuel. That's not a blown engine. Is that? Did he try to make it through?
Oh, yeah, throttle. There's nothing.
Definitely.
Fuel.
Wow, Nuno Pinto by Team Fordzilla seems to have miscalculated the fuel needed for this race. And he didn't even make it across the line in the end.
That's tragic.
That cost a ton of points because they're participation points, and I think you need to finish the race for them.
No, he'll still get, I think, as far as
participation you should get, but he doesn't get anything for the race.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is, he was inside the top 10. So there's that gone out the window, those points. But also what could have happened in race 2, starting up in that top lot. Oh, for the second round in a row, I feel for Nuno Pinto, and this is the most painful crawl to the line. That is horrible, but at the front of the field, Dennis Jordan for Red Bull Racing Esports on his debut for the team takes top honours for the second time in the GT Pro Series, powered by Traction.gg. Michi Hoyer and Jene Simoncic on the podium behind, and Jakub Brzezinski, Nikodem Wisniewski switched over in the race. They grab 4th and 5th. Siebel will start from 6th place, where he starts, or will start from 5th, which is where he started when he won here in GT Challenge. Ferris Stanley on his Sancho Simsport debut grabs a 7th place. He'll be very happy with that. Luca D'Amelio, Alan Terzic and Kevin Siggy will be switched over to the top 3 places for the feature race. And Kevin Siggy looking for his 4th victory in the GT Pro Series, and that would be very, very handy indeed for the 2-time series runner-up. I can't say more about that with Dennis Jordan. What a drive. I said about the fastest lap record, on how every race there'd been a fastest lap that had been smashed because the person who set the fastest lap didn't end up winning the race. That ends today. He absolutely had the fastest lap, absolutely led every single one of them, and takes his 2nd win.
Yeah, that was a great showcase here by Dennis Jordan for his first race with the Red Bull livery. And we see Andonovski only 11th after what we just saw on your screen a few seconds ago. Peter Björk, we didn't saw anything in this race, in the sprint race from the Williams Esports driver, but 13th, that's still fine. Ibrahim Khan, 14th. Risto Capit, the best RAG Esports driver, on 15th, and then followed by Lorenzo Risi and Yuri Kastorp in the Porsche Player Path. So both Porsches behind each other, 17th and 18th. Erhaniovsky 19th for the Radical, and then 20th for Yunus Raivio, the only Aston Martin driver in this heartbreaking end for Nuno Pinto, so we'll see him on page 3 of the stand, or even page 4, or not at all, probably, because he didn't finish. But Kevin Rotting started last, I think, in his McLaren, up to 21st. We'll be very happy about that. I mean, there are a lot of bigger names, like not bigger names in terms of drivers, but big names behind him, such as Jan van der Heyde, who's very good in the standings right now. Wojciech Polesny, 24th, probably was thinking about way more than that. Jordi Swears, that is kind of surprising to me, only 26th.
That'll come courtesy of the contact between himself and Turk Hakkinen that sent him off at Valvoline. It was in the background. They just basically came together and went off. I didn't get a good view of it myself, just caught it in the background, and away they went. They were battling for 13th, 14th, if I recall correctly at the time. So plenty of stuff to have sort of gone through in that race. I'm sure it'd take the disciplinary committee a good hour or so to get through it, because there's so much action that happened, and all that means is that there's a lot of people that are pumped for the feature race coming up.
Yeah, feature race, 45 minutes of racing action, and we saw that across the 3 seasons that we had on our hands now. The main race had like hot phases, basically. It's to start and somewhere in the middle, because people want to set up for the last part of the race, and then obviously the crazy, mostly 5 to 10 minutes, sometimes 15 minutes, where everyone is pushing so hard. We saw that in the sprint race there with ton of overtaking, side-by-side action all over the place. Seems like Nürburgring GP is just the right place for that. And now with the switch in the top 10 of reversed order for the start, I expect even more action early on.
I think we'll get some for sure, because it's been a pretty rough drive for some, but they're looking for we're looking for our 8th difference winner in a row when it comes to this season alone, and we're on 7. 8 seems very, very plausible indeed. Let's take a look at the starting order of the race then, with Kevin Siggy. He'll be on pole position. It's a BMW front row lockout for the feature race. Siggy and Alan Terzic alongside Luca D'Amelio, already a race winner this season, with Ferris Stanley, part of his old team, behind him on a row 2. Alex Siebel from 5th place, where he won in GT Challenge. Nikodem Wisniewski, second on the all-time winners list, will start from 6th. And then Jakub Brzezinski, Jone Simoncic, still looking for his first win in the series. I think it's going to come from 8th place. Vichy Hoyer and Dennis Jordan will round out the top 10. Timotej Antonovsky, who won here in GT Challenge last season with Arne Schonfleet in 12th. The only driver who set 2 fastest laps this season, by the way. Petr Berliak, Ibrahim Khan, 13th and 14th, and Risto Kapit worked his way up into 15th position, dragging Lorenzo Arisi for Wayframe Esports with him behind on the 8th row of the grid. Yuri Kazdorp wasn't feeling too confident in the Porsche, and we can see why. 17th and 18th for the 2 Porsches, Peo Pev behind him as well. Erhan Yovsky got up to 19th position, and Jonas Raivio up inside the top 20. Kevin Rotting from last to 21st, decent effort. And then all the drivers that have had issues behind: Zbigniew Szara, Jan van der Heyde, not at home, he's on a different rig this time, with Wojciech Polesny behind him. We saw a very large incident on lap 1. Turk Hakkinen, Jordi Swears, Jimmy Nasula, Nuno Pinto will be rounding out the top 28, and that is all of the drivers here. We are missing Kasper Stolzer. He is actually there, he's not on the server, at least for me. Alas, I think we're going to see some more action this race.
Yeah, definitely. I will be wearing my Kevin Siggy fan shirt as of right now, that's for sure, because I want to see him doing some magic on that BMW again. Last season, the only BMW in the field. There are a few more this time. Still, what Kevin Siggy showed there, I think he deserves a championship in the GT Pro Series. And he didn't grab the two first times, and he won't be grabbing it this season, that's for sure. Maybe next season. But at least a good finish here at the Nürburgring would be great. So, Kasper Stolzer had an awful race, starting in, he's listed as 28th now, so he will be starting in front of Nuno Pinto. That should be the case, because I think Nuno Pinto did not cross the line, but I think Kasper Stolzer did. But starting, the two cars in the front row that are both BMWs, Terzic and Kevin Siggy. So the M6, obviously at the later part of its life cycle in terms of motorsport, with BMW showcasing the brand new GT3 car very, very soon. But still raced here. It's a great looking car. Right behind that is the McLaren and the Ferrari. So 2 front engine and then 2 mid engines right behind.
It's going to be a tricky one for any of these drivers to go and grab a victory, but what a time to do it. This will be Kevin Siggy's best attempt this season. The 3-time race winner of the series. All 3 of his race wins have come in the final round of a championship. He wants to do it earlier this season. The feature race is underway at the Nürburgring for the GT Pro Season 3, powered by Traction.gg. And look at that, Arne Schonvliet is pushed all the way over to the right-hand side of the circuit as he's battling out with Ibrahim Khan. It is Luca De Melio who's trying to go around the outside of Alan Terzic at turn 1. Kevin Siggy is already starting to run away with things. Jakub Brzezinski's been spun out, and there is carnage down at turn 1. He was spun by Alex Siebel, and contact galore. A little bit of a pinch as Arne Schonvliet is round as well. I think Ibrahim Khan was involved in that. We had a clean start to race 1, and it is looking like the danger zone in race 2.
Yeah, seems like,
terrible.
There's another spin. Wow, it looks like everyone got that compliment completely wrong out of race 1 and decided, hey, we can push a bit more into race 2, and so they did. Carnage absolutely everywhere on the grid, besides maybe with Kevin Siggy and Alan Terzic, because they're still first and second, kind of running away from Luca D'Amelio and Ferry Stanley, who's now in 4th, Michi Hoyer in 6th, but that was Peter Bielak that we saw spinning around a few seconds previously.
Oh, no.
There's another car going off, and it's again a Team GB BMW, and that was, is that Lucas, is that Lorenzo Risi who went off the way free?
It was indeed another bit of contact from Lorenzo Risi. GT Pro, more like GT Average. Pretty bad driving to kick out the feature race at the moment. Here's a bit of a dive from Yuri Kazdorp on the inside of Petr Berliak. No way through there. I mean, with all the damage in the back of this pack with all these cars, it really is different for everyone, because they're all getting damage on different parts of their car, left, right, and centre, all over the place. What carnage. Yuri Kazdorp, surely not. On the inside of Petr Berliak, he's committed to it. There's contact, and across goes Petr Berliak. Arne Schonvliet's trying to get through as well with so much speed. He's going to dive around the outside and going to get Petr Berliak. There's further contact, more, and away Berliak goes. This is embarrassing.
It's happening. I mean, that dive by Yuri Kazdorp was already out. I would say questionable. I'm not the marshal, nor do I really want to get involved in that, but I think it was questionable in terms of how he launched that one. But then another touch right behind with Arne Schonvliet that was, and Peter Bielak. I think Peter Bielak by now, that's definitely not the race he wants to remember. I mean, he has been pushed around on every single corner so far here in the starting minutes of the feature race. It's not looking good for him. Looks a bit better for Luca D'Amelio, who's still in 3rd, defending against Ferry Stanley's Ferrari 488. And then it's Alex Siebel in the background. Look at that. They're quite big gaps by now already in the top 10. While it seems everything behind, let's say, position 12, 13 is, free fall.
Well, let's take a look at what happened at turn 1. I don't even know where to start picking this apart. We had Alex Siebel making contact there with one of the BMW Team GB cars. This all continues up towards top end. I feel bad for Ruben Carreras. That's how Arne Schonvliet went round. Was that from Yuri Kazdorp, maybe? Was Arne Schonvliet? See him in that Mercedes Arena section. Pretty chaotic. Alas, let's focus on the positives of what's happening in the race. Siggy and Terzic look like they're going to be having a close tussle when the two BMWs at the front of the field looking to try and get another victory for BMW this season. They've already had one earlier on. That was back at, they haven't, did they? They were on the podium back at Spa. They've never got a race win, but Wisniewski obviously won last time out. This battle here, obviously these two drivers both used to be HME drivers. In fact, they've actually switched, because Luca De Melio was Zancho, now is HME, and Ferry Stanley was HME and is now Zancho. Sinfort diving into the inside, huge rear locks, pulls it up to the apex. Oh, that was so close to carnage and chaos. Managed to make that one stick, and Luca De Melio read that one from a mile off. Oh, and there's more contact in the background, as I've just seen that Nuno Pinto's caused chaos at turn 1 as well with Brzezinski, so more replays galore.
Oh, we got yellow in sector 1 once again. I mean, Ferry Stanley got very, very lucky into turn 1 there, that there was absolutely no other car around him. Otherwise, there would have been a bit crash. Let's catch that on the replay. That's Arne Schonvliet. Is that the start of the race? Yes, it is. So down to turn 1, hard braking right behind the Bentley here. Now what happens? Oh, both BMWs spin out on the outside. That was Payapaf getting a nudge from Jonas Raivio. And then it seems like Schonvliet tried to go around that Bentley of Red Bull Racing Esports.
Yeah, just I'm not. I think at least from when we saw it from the top view, I think it might be Dennis Jordan rolling off of the apex quite aggressively and rolling into the side of Arne Chambly. Either way, it has happened now, and I'm sure Race Direction will be taking a close view at that afterwards. Another replay coming in, and they will be thick and fast. This is on board with Nikodem Wisniewski, and you can see Alex Siebel there. So this will be the dive around the outside, a little bit of a squeeze as that'll be Jakub Brzezinski. So a squeeze and further contact, and that's just kind of how that one unfolded. They were trying to go 3 wide, probably 4 wide if there was another car involved on the inside. And then this is where the contact happened as, whoa, Nikodem judged that pretty well. And there's Yuri Kazdorp diving it through as well.
Yeah, that was like exciting first seconds for everyone. They had to be on their toes there to get through that and not getting spun around or picking up some damage. It seems like the BMW Team GB was kind of in their own way. I mean, they created that squeeze, right? They should have created a bit more room instead for each other. But then on the other hand, it was the Red Bull car on the inside that kind of tried to avoid the loss of traction when being too far on the ditch on the inside there. And for that, he just rolled away from the apex, causing that squeeze and starting first part of the carnage. This is now becoming a 4-way battle here with the Amelia Stanley, Siebel, and Michi Hoyer the far back in the Burst Esports car. And then we got, all of a sudden, with everything that happened, we got Payopev up to 7th position in the Porsche. Yuri Kazdorp is a bit further down, right, after what happened in the chicane. This is another replay of Ferry Stanley. I guess that's the rear lockup into turn 1. Following here in Slipstream. Oh, he was already losing it while being behind Luca D'Amelio. He wasn't really going for an inside maneuver. He just tried to avoid.
So what happened is, I think he saw that Luca was braking a little bit early, and just as he was starting to brake and then started to turn, Andonovski, I think, might be the causer of the latest yellow flag as he's dropping down the order. So further carnage coming in. It is indeed Andonovski who's off at Dunlop. Yeah, I think just as he was doing that, he went over the crest whilst he was trying to turn right, and the rear end just went, oh, I'm not sure about that. And then, yeah, dived it to the inside. Very, very well read to be fair, from both of them, because Ferris Stanley did actually make the apex, sort of. But really, really well read from Luke D'Amelio there.
Yeah, he was lucky that he didn't try to defend there, because that would have ended his race for sure. But that's the reason why normally when you go down into turn 1 here at Nürburgring GP, you try to stay basically on the middle part of the racetrack, going across the exit line of the pit entry, because you kind of avoid the crest. It's similar to maybe, you know, Monaco, when people come out of the uphill turn and try to avoid the crest there. You have to do that here at Nürburgring GP to get around that and getting the lockup on the rear on such cars. In the background, I think Payopev is losing the position against Dennis Jordan. He got it back, at least from the tower right now. When we jump into another replay. Oh, we get that in beautiful slow motion. Look at that. Coming over the crest, cars way too much at the front. And then he's losing it. Drifting around the rear end of that McLaren into turn 1. Well, yeah, luckily no one got out as a loser of this maneuver.
Classic trademark Ruben Carrera Alves slow-mo there as we ran into turn 1. The battle you did say about they did switch and then switch back again, but Dennis Jordan did finally get ahead of Payopev, and now it's the Aston Martin of Jonas Raivio who will be close in behind. Another replay coming in. This is that battle, so Dennis Jordan will dive it to the inside going into turn 1. A lot of room left on the inside of Payopev. They make a little bit of contact here, and then driving to the outside, Dennis Jordan was able to stick it around, and they managed to stick side by side courtesy of that there, where Payopev just lost the rear end. If you can make it stick around here, you've got the inside for the next corner, and the advantage goes the way of the latest race winner in the GT Pro Series Season 3, powered by Traction.gg.
Well done by Dennis Jordan, that's for sure. But Payopev, I think he left the door open to not risk anything.
Right.
We know what it is, right? You can try to defend, but sometimes, especially into turn 1, you know exactly, like, if I do too much, it might not just end his race, it also ends my race. Not worth it. I mean, he's in the top 10 right now. He really has to score some points if he wants to stay inside GT Pro Series for Season 4. So might be better for him right now to just play it safe, try to bring home those points.
Still looking at this battle for third place in the final podium. Ferris Stanley looks very good off of the final corner. Alex Siebel behind, not able to do anything. I think, just as a little bit of a note, I think Alex Siebel might actually get away with that in turmoil, because I do kind of agree with you on what happened, is that the BMWs almost tripped over themselves. It was just sort of that chaotic moment. Obviously, when they do the race stewarding, they can look at it from literally every angle you could possibly wish for. So there will be no doubt in that sense. So I'm sure that one will be looked at ad nauseum. Either way, Siebel will probably put it out of his mind, and we're focusing on the battle currently at hand and trying to get himself a podium. A lot of drivers have moved up the order throughout the opening stage of the race. You can see on the tower on the left-hand side of your screen, the likes of, obviously, Peo Pev, who is just trying to hold on at the moment to 8th place. Here we go. You can see the positions as well. Jonas Raivia up 11 positions. Ibrahim Khan Risto Capet up a few. Jan van der Heijden up 11 positions from the back of the grid in that rig that he's not used to. Turka Hakkinen as well after retirement in the previous race. And Kasper Stoltz are up 14 places as things stand over the opening stages of the race. Biggest loser being that of Nikodem Wisniewski, and of course Timotej Antonovsky, Wojciech Bolesny and Petr Buriak all out of this race in the opening 10 minutes.
So, Lewis, are you actually the PR manager for Rocket Simsport?
Oh, always.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, because you always tell people that Jan van Dijk's not in his rig. Maybe we should put it behind his name.
It's an interesting story, isn't it?
No, I just wanted to put it that. What interesting for me is Erniowski on 13th right now. Is that the best position the Radical was in so far? Because we saw him climbing up the ranks in Spa, but we all also know how it ended in Spa for him with the Radical, and a huge crash and a huge controversy here in this championship. While we see Ferris Stanley once again now trying around the outside of Luca Di Amelio into turn 1. That might even work, but there's not enough space for him to really put down the power there. And Alex Siebel is coming closer every single time that Ferris Stanley tries to make a move on Luca Di Amelio. So the further these two are fighting, the more Hoyer and Siebel will actually get involved. And Siebel now is really, really close. This is now Erniowski, who also got his onboard camera and inputs on that little Radical. It's a rare sight in GT3 racing, that's for sure. And he got Turka Hakkinen and Kasper Stoltz right behind. Turka Hakkinen on the inside, cutting the entire group. To be aware of not getting a track cut there. But with that, bad exit for him and the chance for Kasper Stoltz to go around the outside. They both make contact here, but luckily no one leaves the track. And that should be, speaking of Shara, right behind. So we got like, what, 2, 3, 4 huge battle groups. I mean, look at this one. That is massive.
Is enormous. You can see how long it stretches back. Kevin Rotting right on the rear end of this train. He's the final one, a part of it. And then it's a Risi, Wisniewski, Schonvliet, Brzezinski, etc. all the way up to this battle for 11th place as Risto Capet's got his mirrors full of the Rocket Simsport driver of Jan van der Heijden, Erniowski and Turka Hakkinen. And you can see there in the background, I'm pretty sure that was Jimmy Nasula battling it out indeed with Yuri Kasdorp. Good to see Kasdorp in colours. Obviously, he's been outside of a team since the start of the year after departing RHG Sports in January. Courtesy of a lot of drama behind the scenes. And now he's finally found a home, it seems, in Red Bull Racing Esports. Obviously, as I said before, he's back alongside Dennis Lind, who's been running things behind the scenes for them, as we see Erniowski diving it to the inside of Jan van der Heijden out of the final corner. A little bit of contact between the two, and that McLaren should drag its way through. Oh, that is smart driving, though, from Risto Capet, who's pulling over to give slipstream to its teammate on that run into turn 1, and Jan van der Heijden did all he could to try and get back in it. Now heavy on the brakes, they're all going to go. Jan van der Heijden's going to try and make it stick around the outside. There's going to be near contact between the lot, but the RHG man does get ahead and then nearly sends it on his teammate, but that was more so to defend from the German behind. And now Turka Hakkinen fancy its effort, but look at that, the McLaren dives back through again. The 720 fighting it out with the Radical as hard as he can, and does get back ahead.
Yeah, Erniowski, 2-time GT Pro Series champion, fighting against someone that could be champion in Season 3. At least before we start the race here at Nürburgring, he has very, very good position to maybe grab that. But Erniowski, great fight he has here with Jan van der Heijden. Van der Heijden now ran away with it a bit, even with the teammate of Erniowski trying to do what he can as he sat there. He was trying to give slipstream to Erniowski on the straight. That worked, but it wasn't enough really to get that little Radical around the, what is it there? That's a McLaren on the Rocket Sim Sport car. And we see Turkka Häkkinen really risking it in basically every single corner now in terms of cutting and trying to use the maximum available track for him to be quick. And in the background, we also still have Shara, who has to defend against, I think, Jimmy Nusua, that is. And look at the Emilio, not really that clean through the chicane here.
And that's Ferris Stanley trying to fight his way through. No way. And the 650 does have a really good drag off of the final corner. This could be Ferris Stanley's best opportunity to try and get by the young feisty Italian. The Indonesian driver who's just joined Sancho Sin Sports not able to get through here, but he's going to commit heavily around the outside. There's just a brush between the two. Luca D'Amelio is going to hang on. You can see there on your screen the Fanatec fan attack. Don't forget to take a screenshot of the Fanatec logo anywhere on screen, whether it's up on the tower, on a car, or anywhere else. Post it onto Instagram or Twitter. Hashtag Fanatec, hashtag GTProS3. You can get yourself a chance to get in a giveaway.
Oh, look at that. Oh my God. Erhan Yojovski really sending it on the inside here of Jan von Heide.
no.
There's massive contact that's sending Yojovski wide, losing a ton of position here. Everyone is through. Yeah, also Yuri Kastov, Shara is through, Kasper Stolz is through. Oh, very unfortunate there. I'm not quite sure who to blame on that one, I have to say. We will see plenty of replays of that, I'm absolutely sure. But this doesn't end the fighting group here. That's Turkka Häkkinen in front, Kasper Stolze, and then behind him, that is Shara. So Shara still didn't find a way around Kasper Stolze, who wants to make up for the horrible race he had in the sprint race. Turkka Häkkinen a bit on the slidey side now, currently with his Audi R8.
Yeah, they're fighting again very, very hard. It was just a little bit clumsy coming out of the Mercedes Arena section. I'm sure we'll take another look at it. But this has been quite a calamitous affair over the opening half of this race, very much matching what we saw in the BMW Sim M2 CS Racing Cup earlier this afternoon, the support race to the GT Pro Championship all season. Don't forget to go and get involved in that, get yourself on the grid. Why not? Of course, GT Challenge will be back in a week's time as well, so we'll see more frantic racing around this venue. And as things continue here with still 28 minutes to go, 7 seconds, the top two have pulled out on this train. Kevin Siggy and Alan Terzic still very much close together at the front of the field, but no way through at the moment for the battle for 15th place now, as we've got Erhan Yovski trying to get by and Zbigniew Shara nearly pitched all the way over to the wall. There is just about a radical sized gap as they run down the hill, and the old teammate of Erhan Yovski, Yuri Kasdorp, is defending his way through 15th position. Erhan Yovski once again marching his way back forward. Hopefully, fingers crossed, there's no wheel failure for him this time, whilst he marches his way back up the order. You know I've got to keep firing those shots all season long.
I wonder if he's giving his best right now on the radical. I mean, he was taking part in the BMW M2 series, right? That cost him a bit of preparation time because he seems to be quick on that radical. But look at how Yuri Kastel fired that away on Zbigniew Shara, and with that giving a chance for Erhan Yovski to also pass through, because obviously that little radical fits way better in the slipstream of a Porsche than the Bentley GT3 does. So they got the position, and I'm not sure if Shara even lost another position there. Well, these guys do not really condone to normal track limits, it seems. Look at the Amelia and Ferris Stanley right now. They're trying to extend the Michael Schumacher as quite a lot, but they're still fighting, and they still manage to have Siebel and Hoyer really close to them, because they can't run away if they keep going like that, and we see it. There's a 7-second gap, as you said already, between Terzic and the Amelio, with Kevin Siggy still being in the lead and might even go for another win here in GT Pro.
Yeah, both there and, of course, through this chicane here as well is where track limits are on their highest, basically, chance of getting yourself a track excursion. So any race engineer, any teammate, any whatnot of any team will be basically yelling at their drivers and being like, don't cut any more. We cannot stand it, because you will get yourself a drive-through penalty, which will be very, very costly in this race indeed. Saw Risto Capit battling very closely with Jan van der Heide and Kasper Stolzer as well, getting involved in the mix. Stolzer's march up the order is looking pretty fantastic at the moment, as on the start-finish straight he's closing in on yet more positions to potentially gather himself maybe even closer to a top 10, the race winner in the feature race of Silverstone, as we focus on this battle for third place as things stand. The tower switching around all way left, right and centre for that position. But even if he does get to the head of that field, they've got 10 seconds nearly to catch this battle. They've done very, very well to clear off into the distance, courtesy of that carnage. Look at this. Where do you begin? There's Yuri Kasdorp and Turka Hakkinen coming together, and here is Erhan Yovski as well, fancying to close back in on this group, as Turka Hakkinen's nearly going to squeeze into the inside as we start running down the hill through Valvoline and into full position. Done again from Erhan Yovski into the top 15.
It seems like the Nitro Alex cars kind of struggled with coming out of Valvoline there. That's the second or third time by now. We see them getting loose and then not really hitting the next entry, and now that gave a chance to Jimmy Nusula to be up the inside. Speaking of Shara, kind of losing a ton of position. He's down to 19th already, and the Radical kind of gets dragged by Yuri Kasdorp along here, even if they're not teammates anymore. But Yuri Kasdorp doing a lot right now to help Erhan Yovski, the 2-times champion, to move up the order. This is Jan van der Heijden versus Risto Capit. Oh, that was very close between Kasdorp and Kasper Stolzer there, the Corvette. A C7 Callaway one is fighting. It is the Callaway one. I was already really confused by now. It's not the C8. Obviously, that one is in the GTE category in R32. But Jan van der Heijden not giving up right now. Side by side on the outside for the early part of chicane. Both make it, but that costs a lot of time. It bunched up everyone behind. We see that here. No one knows where to go. It seems like Yovski was on the losing end there, but he got back onto the apex, still in the slipstream of the Porsche. These two are basically one car by now. They're going through the entire grid together, and it seems like Yovski knows that Yuri Kasdorp, with his aggressive entries into every fight, is his best chance to battle through with a Radical.
Oh, just got nearly tipped there, did Kasper Stolzer, from Yuri Kasdorp, pushing off his old teammate as well for good measure, as this lot, like, they are racing as hard as you can. It's British Touring Car Championship, eat your heart out from this lot, as they have all traded paint. I think we need one GT Pro colour scheme at the moment for this lot, because they're all trading paint as things stand, and all stripping paint off of other people's cars. It's not been the cleanest. It's been very exciting, I'll give it that. It's been you don't know which way to look, because they're always like 2 or 3 wide, which is not normally something we would expect at the Nürburgring. They have been fighting as hard as they can for all of these positions. It's been very interesting to see. This battle has added an extra car to it, as Dennis Jordan has got his way up to the back, of course, race winner in the previous one, and makes his second race win after that Indianapolis victory last season. It was sensational in the wet weather conditions. The curiosity comes is, if they battle out hard enough, does Jonas Raivio close up to the back of this in that very unfavoured Aston Martin? Look at that at the top of your screen. A penalty for Erhan Yovski. That is a drive-through penalty courtesy of track limits, and this is where it begins. We've passed the halfway point in the race. We are wondering who else is going to come across to that one.
That one will hurt. I mean, he had put so much effort into all these fights. Following Yuri Kasdorp, you've seen already Kasper Stolz is in between him now and Yuri Kasdorp, so he lost a position there. While we see a sent from all the way back once again. There's contact. Jimmy Nusula going off. Turka Hakkinen taking him out here in the chicane. Another 2 cars in the grass. With that, a ton of positions lost once again. I mean, that was a send from all the way back, basically like an express way into that corner, and it didn't work out. While we see 2 Bentleys and a BMW fighting with Lorenzo Risi in the background. This should be Shara and Swears, Jordi Swears, in the John Esports one. There was slight contact going into turn 1, and that's Erhan Yovski running around, and I think he just DNF'd.
He certainly did. This time pulled the plug before the wall, so all is well and good. Yeah, let's take a look once again at Turka Hakkinen here. He's going to dive to the inside. I mean, I will say one thing, that Jimmy Nusula was pretty slow in that scenario. So Turka Hakkinen wasn't sort of expecting to make a dive there, but either way, that is pretty average.
Like on the entry, I have to say, like, yeah, if you got that much more speed into that corner, I can totally understand why he was trying to go for it. But that's the moment where we normally say, oh, both people played along very well, right? But in this case, they didn't. That was the issue, is that there wasn't enough space, and both are kind of the losers coming out of this. We see that again. There's Jimmy Nusula being on the brake, half braking in, and then the car is completely alongside.
Yeah.
And then there's just not enough space for Turka Hakkinen to survive. And Jimmy Nusula going to make contact, and they went out. Would love to see what happened there in turn 1 with Erhan Yovski, how that happened, how he got spun around, or if it was himself dropping down to turn 1. We saw that in the previous seasons. And that can definitely happen. Turka Hakkinen down to 23rd now. Nuno Pinto 22nd. And Kevin Rotting in 21st for AAA Esports. Kevin Siggy still being our leader. And probably the only one that didn't trade paint so far.
Yeah, along with Alan Tedge, who's been as good as gold as things stand. If you want to take a look, let's see our way through this, and there's more kind of happening. This is what happened to Haniowski. Obviously, he's got a drive-through penalty at this point. What is going to happen? How is he going to spin? Just on himself as the track drops away, and he decides to call it a day there and then. Battle for 13th place is actually continuing to rage on, as this time it'll be Yuri Kasdorp trying to move his way up the order. Here we go. How many times have we seen this lot all side by side? I swear they've moved up 3 positions, then down 3, around 3, backwards 3, up and over the top of 3. Who knows what? It is carnage in this section. I am surprised as many of them are still going as they are, because let's be real, this could have ended in tears on more than one occasion.
Yeah, it should have ended like 10 minutes ago, basically. Jan van der Heijden against Kasper Stolze. And then we see Brzezinski trying to get into this fight as well, with Jordi Swears now trying to get his Bentley up the inside of the BMW M6 GT3, and that worked very, very well while they go down to Dunlop Corner. Let's see if Swears can stick to it. I don't think so. The BMW seems to be a bit stronger down into Dunlop, but he can't have the inside line. And with that, the Sean Lazy esports driver should be through. But with what we see there, and I hate to put anything on any of these drivers, they're doing a great job. They're putting on an amazing show and incredible driving each time. But from a 2-time champion leaving the race after spinning it himself into turn 1 kind of makes me sad, because Yoski put on a great show with that radical. He really showed people that he could do it from all the way back with that little car going through, and then just leaving us with that ending is kind of sad.
Yeah, I'm a bit of I do like I'm a bit of an Erhan Yoski fan. Got a soft spot for him, and it is a shame to see him struggling so much. Obviously, with that car that is very much not favoured. Oh, Archie, Jordi Swears picks up a drive-through penalty, and he instantly serves it. He knew it was coming as soon as he went over the final chicane, and then dived straight into pit lane to pick up yet another one. No brioche for him this afternoon, as he'll be dropping right the way down to the back of the order. Again, continuing to focus on this battle, as there's so many times there's near contact. Oh, Risto Capit had run wide, and that's allowed Yuri Kasdorp to try and make an advantage in this scenario as he's pulled it around the outside. There's still side-by-side going through the Mercedes Arena section. The final part of this, Risto Capit fires it through to cover it off. Jan van der Heijden goes for a slightly later apex to try and take an advantage, but he's got to go all the way around Valvoline, and I don't think that one's going to be too favourable. If he can do so, he's got the inside to Ford, but no way through in this scenario. All still going, all still battling as hard as they can. You'd think this is for the win. It is for 11th place on the grid, but still some very, very important points.
We're so far into the race, and we still have such a big fighting group going each other with completely different cars. I mean, we've got the Bentley of Risto Capit, we've got Porsche with Yuri Kasdorp, who just lost 2 positions in Dunlop Corner against the McLaren and the Corvette. Then there's the BMW in the background, another McLaren. So I really love that series for the diversity in terms of cars that we see in the fights here. It works very well. I mean, they're all different in terms of characteristics. We see that on the braking sometimes. People might get caught off guard, basically, because the car in front needs to brake a bit earlier than their car. But Brzezinski, 15th right now, he wants to make a move because there was a good chance here at the Nürburgring for the BMW cars. They had great pace and qualification, but so far they couldn't really bring that in to great results.
Still, look at how much they close up going through that final chicane. I thought that Jan van der Heijden was going to try and go around the outside once again as an attempt, and Kasper Stolze was ready to pounce in any scenario. Just a little bit of a quick note on what is happening towards the front end of the field as we head into the final 16 minutes and 30 seconds of the race. Kevin Siggy has finally broken Alan Terzic. There is a second between the two as Siggy is trying to pull out and try and get his 4th victory in GT Pro. Our focus on this battle as Lorenzo Arisi is going around the outside of Kuba Brzezinski. Jan van der Heijden, though, has made it stick around the outside of T1. He's got the inside through the arena section and finally gets himself up into 11th position. As nearly diving to the inside, there was contact between Kasper Stolze, who thought that now was his time. Yuri Kasdorp fires his way through in the Porsche as well. There's further contact, brush, punt, and away over the outside Yuri Kasdorp goes. That is Risto Capit hanging on, but these two continuing to remain feisty. Stolzer's going to lose the position. Now he's going to chop back over the nose of Kuba Brzezinski, but no way through there, and Brzezinski is going to hold on to 15th place. Got Arisi to focus on now, but whoa, for Jan van der Heijden, that could be a very, very important move as he's going to try and gap this pack.
It's interesting. It doesn't look like a normal GT race at the Nürburgring GP, more like the race you have with your friends at the nearby karting track with the rentals after you watch the race. I mean, everyone going crazy, trying to get a loose rear end, basically with tabbing them slightly like you would do in karting. And this is Jordi Swears pulling into the pits once he knew that that will be a drive-through penalty for exceeding track limits too many times. Then you need to brake all the way. Or luckily, this is not the COVID-19 pit lane where they would need to go to the right now in NLS and go all the way through the parking lot instead. Oh, he actually pulled in.
Pulled the plug, didn't want those points. Oh, Archie.
It just shows how crazy the fights are this time. I mean, everyone is really on the edge at the moment. And once they've been pulled out of these fights, they can't lose the drive.
Yeah, further contact there as we saw between Nikodem Vishnevsky making contact. Actually, yeah, it was. It was Nikodem Vishnevsky and Zbigniew Shara. This battle's continuing as Risto Capit's at the head of it. This time we're on board with Yuri Kasdorp, who's going to try and do exactly what Jan van der Heijden did. He might have found a way around the outside of the Bentley. Not through this time. We might get the inside of Kasper Stolzer, and that is what he is focused on now, trying to open the door by bullying the big Bentley, and that is not advised because, let's be honest, that Bentley is pretty monstrous when it comes to pushing its weight around the circuit. They're still going to go side by side. Kasper Stolzer's got the inside for the exit of the Mercedes Arena section. The BMW Team GB car of Brzezinski is also a part of this, who we're riding on board with in this scenario. And again, he's got to focus backwards as Lorenzo Risi and Zbigniew Shara and Nikodem Vishnevsky are all a part of that train as well.
Pretty crazy what's going on here. I mean, I'm not quite sure if the Bentley of Risto Capit will make it through technical checks because it's probably like 20 centimeters shorter by now with everyone that tapped his rear. Well, we see the move by Jan van der Heijden. That's the outside one that we talked about earlier, outside in turn one. And then you're on the inside here for the entry of Mercedes Arena. And worked very well for the Rocket Sim Sport McLaren driver. Moving up one position, then you really have to trail brake into that without losing the rear. Not an easy part of the track. But Risto Capit is still defending against basically everyone. It seems like the entire world and every single manufacturer is behind him while Kasper Stolzer and Yuri Kasdorp make contact. That gives another chance to Kuba Brzezinski to maybe find a way around the Porsche. We speak of Shara and Lorenzo Risi right behind them. But so far, Risto Capit making that Bentley as wide as possible. No way around him so far. As we see one more clouds now here at Nürburgring GP. It won't rain for the last minute, will it? I mean, that would throw everything around by now. I mean, it had been crazy so far. If it now starts raining, then I'm not quite sure what happens then.
Speaking of Shara has been off in the background, I'm pretty sure that would have done via an escort, as you can see him just off in the final corner and over onto the grass. There goes Yuri Kasdorp to the inside, and there's near contact between himself and Kasper Stolzer. At the moment, Risto Capit in that 2020 Bentley is heading this pack and is very much the cork in the bottle, so to speak. Obviously, this car is really not the favoured one out the two Bentleys, because all of the 2020 Bentleys are struggling. Jordi Swears is now out of the race, and obviously we've seen that Zbigniew Shara has been off the road in the background. They're the 2020 Bentleys, and the heaviest of all of those, now with 10 kilos, started out with 20 but now has 10 kilos on, is that driver of Risto Capit. But quite clearly, the 2020 variant of the car is not favoured to this venue in the same sense as the 2017 rather counterpart that it has.
Yeah, it seems like Dennis Jordan is having a way easier race, but I don't want to judge it like that because he's also putting on an absolutely amazing show. So far, that was once again Kasper Stolzer. They rack up a few more cuts, I feel. And at one point, someone will be out once again. Risto Capit defending here. And then it seems like Yuri Kasdorp couldn't wait for the next corner. Really wants to make a move. But there's Brzezinski on the outside. They're once again side by side on this track. I mean, I'm so happy that this track is actually wide enough to let everyone run side by side, because they did that plenty of times. I think one day we will need a counter here in the rFactor 2 broadcast that counts how long cars had them side by side, because we were probably very surprised about what's coming out of that one.
Yeah, I think there's been a lot of action in today's race that have seen plenty of side-by-side, both 2s and 3s, as we're riding on board with Kevin Rofting marching his way up the order. He had a terrible first lap, was ended up down outside of the top 25 as far as I remember. Marched his way back up the order as he did in the first race, went from 29th to 21st, now trying to attack his way into the top 15 on the outside of Brzezinski. He's got Hakkinen behind, and look at that blue and orange car just behind that, Nuno Pinto, after a tragic retirement in the first race, courtesy of what we believe it's fueled. Hopefully he's got enough in the tank for this race, because he's closed up to this pack and is looking to march his way through it as best he can, because he is here and he is knocking at the door. Let's take a look at this replay.
What do we get? That's once again Kasper Stolze into turn 1. That's the start. All right, I was a bit confused. Like, that are too many cars for what we had. And yeah, that is the start. Now we see a bit of carnage, and he probably ran into a car that was spun around, right? That's Schonflet. No, he avoided it. All right, that was another Bentley that crashed into Schonflet, who was the wrong way around. But look how busy it is. I mean, that is crazy. Cars left and right, 3 wide, 4 wide. I saw a small split apart throwing across the track. And that is not easy to get through at all.
I think genuinely the best thing to teach you how to do all of this about spatial awareness, and don't judge me for suggesting this, but it's actually oval racing, because oval racing is where you have to have your senses right at its highest. You've got to be very aware as to what's going on, and particularly over the first few laps of that, you are ducking and diving and weaving through all of this. Look at the carnage. That was when Lorenzo Arisi sent off one of the BMW Team GB cars. Nuno Pinto muscling his way around the outside in that Bentley. Oh, Kasper Stolze has gone. Kasper Stolze has gone. As we come back to live pictures, we can see where he is. Kasper Stolze out of here. Turk Hakkinen as well went a few corners prior. This gap, this group is starting to split apart courtesy of things going on. But considering that he was spun, or he was off on the on basically a straight, I'm going to make a wild suggestion that was assisted.
Really sad, because I wanted to use that replay to ask if we get to see all 16 overtakes that Kasper Stolze did, because he gained 16 positions before what happened right after we came back to the live picture. So very sad to see probably the highest climb that we had, because now we got Jonas Raivio with 12 and Jan van der Heide with 12, and nowhere near the 16 that Kasper Stolze racked up. But yeah, now he lost all of them once again, basically. Lorenzo Arisi fighting with Nuno Pinto, and then Arne Schonflet from Timo Gira right behind. Okay, Lorenzo Arisi trying to block the inside lines, and the McLaren has nowhere to go. Both need to make that corner. Luckily, they do.
Indeed, let's take a look at the replay as to what happened to Kasper Stolze. I don't know if he hit the wall or not. So this is where he is. He's right behind Risto Kappa as they run through Adam Bogan's going to run. Oh, it's basically by himself. He got too much onto the rear of that Bentley. Oh, and he did just miss the wall as well. So no damage on the car. Just got too much on the rear of the Bentley, and it lifted the rear of his car off, and away he went. And yeah, he's lucky to get away with that one, all things considered. This is the battle for the podium, and we spoke a little bit earlier in the broadcast about Jonas Raivio, who was closing in on the back. He had 5 seconds to close on this group. Well, take a look at this group. It is now 6 cars, as Jonas Raivio is a part of the podium battle.
Yeah, and the exciting last 5 minutes. I mean, this entire race has been exciting so far, but normally we go crazy with the last 5 minutes on the clock, and then this group will probably heat up even more. And I saw on the second screen, I saw the replay once again from Kasper Stolze. It seems like he actually touched the grass on the left side and was just too much. He was still steering. I mean, you're going full throttle around that right king. He was still in slipstream, then actually onto the grass with the rear tire, and then just slipped away, and off he went. Very unfortunately, he was definitely on the grass. Nearly took Yuri Kastup out there, and I tell you, his mechanics will have been quite happy that he avoided that wall there, because that would have been costly.
Yeah, that after a long race, I mean, he can still bounce back from his current position if he just works his way up the order.
If he does another 16-1, I'll make him champion right today.
Exactly. I mean, he's right on the back of that group, to be fair. I think he only dropped down to 21st, and now he is a part of the train that he spun out of. So I wouldn't put it necessarily past Kasper Stolze, the Silverstone winner, to work his way through it. Just 6 minutes left on the clock. Kevin Siggy leading the way as he had done all the way through the race. I said it went out to over a second to Alan Terzic. Well, guess what Alan Terzic has done? he has been closing in bit by bit. 10th here, 10th there. It is back under a second as we head towards the checkered flag. And the BS competition driver will be looking to potentially get himself a race victory. Had a podium back at Spa in the sprint race. It was second place behind Michi Hoyer, who was victorious that day. Maybe looking to go one better, so he was disappointed he wasn't aggressive enough that day. This time he might be putting amends to that.
Another replay, and there you see that it's Casper Stolzer while still being like steering around that corner, getting onto the grass. Then you've got the slipstream to it. Basically everything that can unsettle the car was added up here. Yuri Kastrup to the right. Look at him there. That was proper Hollywood driving by Yuri Kastrup, avoiding that his Porsche gets crunched there. And luckily, he is still in the race. He's on 12th right now, with the best Porsche being 10 for Player Path right now. Actually, we see that his pace is currently not up for the top 12. I mean, Player Path was where? In front of Dennis Jordan, so he was 7th. And then he lost against Jordan, Raivio, and Khan without any like off tracks or so. He just lost them in normal battles. So that is not the pace he should currently be on. And he just gained a lot of positions from what happened in the early stages of the race.
Yeah, flag out in Sector 3. That was Turco Hakkinen out of the final corner. He was in that battle pack. So once again, going to assume that one was potentially assisted, considering how things have gone today. It's still holding at a second, the battle for the race lead. The one that we're focused on now is seeing a pretty tight fight. There was Morse code delivered to the rear end of Luca D'Amelio's car as Ferris Stanley, through turn 1, was all the way over the rear end and basically pushing him through turn 1. Let's take a look at this replay as to what happened to Turco Hakkinen, battling it out with Arne Schonfleet as they run up the hill. It was at the final corner that we had the fin backwards, and I'm going to assume, that'll be another track cut. We've got a penalty for such. And this is him running through that final corner. He's losing it by himself. Never mind, wasn't assisted. It was all done of his own volition on some fairly dirty tyres. Copped a whack for good measure and managed to keep going. I think that might have been Casper Stolzer who smashed his rear.
Definitely a bit too much push there on the last corner around the Durant Hotel onto the start-finish straight of Nürburgring GP. Look at D'Amelio still in 3rd, holding on to that podium position, but Ferris Stanley has its eyes on that position for roughly 40 minutes by now, a bit more than that, trying to find a way around the HM Engineering McLaren in red right in front of him. Alex Siebel holding on to the position he started on, but the most impressive car in this fighting group is definitely Jonas Raivio in the only Aston Martin GT3 who got back into this fighting group. He's now at the end of it, and if things go crazy, the last 32 minutes, whatever happens, Jonas Raivio might win another spot or two.
He's done really, really well, the Spa feature race winner, to close up into this group, driving for himself, and now the only driver driving solo this season, or rather driving under his own name rather than solo, because obviously Yuri Kastrup was until he joined Red Bull Racing Esports. Considering that Jonas Raivio as well was driving in the BMW Sim M2 CS Racing Cup prior to this, he's doing quite well to get up to speed with his car, and yeah, he's just focused on doing laps by himself, avoid the carnage of the opening couple of laps, and got his way back up to this train. I think he's going to have a fairly hard fight to get himself into a podium position. You're absolutely right, though, that if things fall apart, it's just extra points for him. I'd be pretty impressed with a drive to 8, all things considered, especially considering that Aston Martin is not favoured here. But any extra position is just a bonus. With 2 minutes and 14 seconds left on the clock, they're going to be pretty tight to starting the penultimate lap of the race, or whether it will be the final. It will be the penultimate, but not by much. And I wonder if fuel calculations might just be a little bit skew if courtesy of that, because they might have expected to go 1 lap shorter, Siggy, then starting the penultimate lap of the race.
And let's just hope that no one runs out of fuel like Nuno Pinto did in the sprint race. I mean, that's the absolute heartbreaking moment, and we don't want to see that being repeated once again. Nuno Pinto currently in 18th now, after finishing last in the sprint race due to not having any fuel to cross the line. Ferris Stanley once again a bit later on the brakes than the McLaren in front of him. Seems like the 488 is a bit better into turn 1 at least. But Alex Siebel also behind that. Jonas Raivio, I wonder when he will try to get onto Dennis Jordan here, onto that Bentley of Red Bull Racing Esports coming into this season. Obviously the drivers happened here before for different teams, but it's Red Bull's return after season 1 with Ronnie Tomola, now in season 3. And we see those liveries once again. Really like that one.
I was told that the Porsche looks the best of those three, but I actually think the Audi does. I think the Audi looks very, very good. I mean, they all look very, very good. All things considered, the same livery on different cars. I just think it matches the Audi quite nicely. On the bottom of your screen, you can see where Kevin Siggy presently is. If you were to take a look in his rearview mirror, you might be a little bit concerned because Alan Terzic has been turning it up lap after lap. He set a time 0.3 of a second faster on the previous lap to close in on the Slovenian, Austro-Slovenian, Kevin Siggy, who's directly ahead, the Slovenian of Alan Terzic. These two, just going to be totally honest, from everything that I know between the two of them, they are not friends. They may be driving both under the BMW banner, of course, Team BMW Redline and BS Competition, one of the teams that is partnered with BMW as well. But these two do not particularly get along. And it looks like this is going to be a hard fight over the final lap of the race. One more to go. Kevin Siggy, desperate for his first victory since Spa last season. Alan Terzic looking for his first victory in the series.
Yeah, absolutely love that. These guys were they're not having the action-packed fights that we saw previously, but it was a constant fight across those 45 minutes, just on a slightly bigger distance without all the touching, rubbing, and plane changing and spinning out and all that. They showed great pace and consistency in this feature race, and let's see if Kevin Siggy can bring it home for Team Redline, or Alan Terzic gets his very first win. But this group is also still going, and that's D'Amelio with the last podium position for Stanley. So far, they didn't change any position the entire race. I mean, they changed positions in between, but now how they are is how they started, which is kind of interesting. So Luca D'Amelio was really able to go the pace of the top runners on this race so far, and Dennis Jordan, even with being the dominant winner of the sprint race, didn't find a way around them yet to gain a few more positions.
There's no success balance between the races, so everyone's weight is the same as it is in race 2 as it is in race 1. So it is basically the exact same car they raced the first race, and of course, be it obviously different for everyone, courtesy of ballast difference. Considering the draft, but all things considered, Dennis Jordan, I think he'll be fairly happy to have marched through what has been a very carnage-filled race to 7th place. Here we go then. Can Alan Terzic do absolutely anything about Kevin Siggy? At the moment, it is not looking favourable for Terzic. He's got a lot of work to do over the final few corners. Kevin Siggy has been desperate. Started the season with a 40-kilogram BMW, currently has a 20-kilogram BMW. Alan Terzic has got 0 to his name, and out of the final corner, finally, once again, we can see Kevin Siggy across the line, a winner in GT Pro for the 4th time and the first time since Spa last season. It is 8 different winners in a row to kick off the season, and a fantastic way for Siggy to start his challenge to hold on to his position inside the series. Terzic a great drive to second, and Luca D'Amelio does hang on to the podium across Ferris Stanley, Siebel, Hoyer, Jordan and Rivio, all a part of that train. Our focus then back to Risto Capit, who has been looking in his rearview mirror all day long.
Yeah, look at how better up that Bentley is. I mean, there's not a single body panel on it that wasn't readjusted or slightly altered during the race, with the RHE Esports Predator livery on it. And Lorenzo Racing, he still wants to have a go here at the very last corner. He's so close to Risto Capit, full position 14th, but there's not enough space, not enough race left for him to pass that Bentley. With that, Risto Capit comes 14th, Lorenzo Racing 15th. And then the rest of this big fighting group. But back to Kevin Siggy and BMW Team Redline. I mean, you said it, it's a long time ago that he won a race, but he deserved this one so much. His BMW 20 kilograms heavier than Alan Terzic, and he still managed to not be really under pressure for the entirety of the 45-minute main race.
It was a fantastic effort and a true test to the two-time runner-up's skill. Kevin Siggy victorious here. Alan Terzic settles for second once again. And Luca D'Amelio, the race winner back in Imola, will be in 3rd place. Ferris Stanley and Siebel will round out the top 5. So I don't think Alex Siebel moved from his position because he started from 5th as well, all things considered. Michi Hoyer, the race winner here in GT Challenge, only good enough for 6th in this race. Dennis Jordan in 7th place, your race 1 winner. Jonas Rivio from 8th place. Ibrahim Khan kept out of trouble, got himself up to 9th. And Peo Pev would be rounding out the top 10. A long distance back to Jan van der Heyde, who starts or is 11th position. He worked his way up from a fairly poor start up into that 11th spot. Yuri Kasdorp, Jakob Brzezinski did manage to get ahead of Risto Capit, who was, as I said, eyes on the mirror all day long. Lorenzo Arisi tried something on the final couple laps, but no way through. Kevin Rotting was marching forward all afternoon to 16th place. Nikodem Wisniewski disappointed after only lap 1. 17th for him. Same with Arne Schonvliet. Spun around in the Mercedes Arena section. Nuno Pinto, after retiring the first race, gets himself up to 19th. And Casper Stolzer, we saw him go for a little bit of a slip and slide on the exit of Ad Van Bogen. Manages to get himself back inside the top 20. Outside of that, the only two finishers, Zbigniew Szara and Turka Hakkinen. Everyone else a retirement to the race. Jordi Zviers, who retired after receiving a drive-through penalty, pulled it straight into the pit lane. Haniowski a spin at turn 1. And then the other retirements, Jimmy Nasula, Timotej Andonovski, Wojciech Polesny and Petr Burliak, the retirements from the feature race here. Only 2 rounds to go in the season, and again we spoke about this last time out when it comes to picking a potential favourite for the championship, and once again absolutely no idea. No one seems to be grabbing this series by the throat.
No, I mean, Simoncic and Jan van der Heyde had the best position to make sure that coming into the last phase of this championship that they're the front runners, but both didn't have the best race here at Nürburgring. So it's everyone's championship once again, especially with, as you see on this beautiful graphic, so many different winners. It's absolutely lovely this season. There's no such thing as, oh, we know who's winning and we just care for who's second, third, fourth, fifth. No, not this season. So I'm looking forward to Sebring. It will be a great and amazing race there. It's a very bumpy track, a bit like, I would say it's the Nürburgring GP, but with a Nordschleife surface kind of thing to do when we go to Sebring. And then Indianapolis at the end, one of the old school historic tracks, basically, that we could go to finish the season.
Yeah, obviously we've raced Sebring in 2 previous seasons before. Erhan Jajowski and Nikodem Wisniewski, I'm pretty sure, were victorious on both occasions. Wisniewski won on both times that we went there. Haniel Sabti won, and Erhan Jajowski, another winner there. When we get there, who knows what we'll see when it comes to it. I think Jone Simoncic will be looking pretty good in the championship at the moment. He didn't have a terrible round this time out. I'm pretty sure it was top 5s in both races, or 5th and maybe a 7th, something like that, across the 2 races. Looked like he was basically just keeping himself out of trouble. And the thing is, scoring decent points in this championship and being consistent is what will net you the championship. Still yet to take a race win in the series. Will that turn its favour over the final 4 races of the championship? There's only one way to find out.
And we're talking about winners so much, and that we had so many different winners, and we also have many different winners each and every time we do the Fan Attack. And I actually think that we skipped Ada Millward between sprint and main race because there was just too much action on the screen basically everywhere. Aiden, I'm really, really sorry, but that also means that you got your hands full of winners of rFactor 2 DLCs, base game, steering wheels by Fan Attack. So what's going on there?
Oh, right, yeah, I am still here. I don't blame you for not finding the time to bring me in the interval, because just so much going on. But congratulations to Johan, who has won himself a Fan Attack Formula V2 wheel, and the DLC base game winners are Norman Kaiser and Norbert Leitner. That's the winners from race 1. Then race 2, the Fan Attack Formula V2 wheel has gone to Bog, and the DLC base game codes for Steam have gone to Bartosz Zajtek and Nick Ford. So congratulations to you 6. That is correct, isn't it? 6, yes. And if you've missed out, my maths is terrible. If you've missed out this time round, there will be chances at Sebring. Just, we'll have all the instructions that you need to get involved, which is basically just screenshot the Fanatec logo, put the right hashtags on the right social media websites, and you could be receiving some funky goodies in 2 weeks' time at Sebring.
Yeah, but Aiden, you say your math is that bad. I mean, we need to go back to that once again, because we need to know what's going on in the VC Rookie Award. And since Lewis and me couldn't make out a favorite for this championship, you had all the time on the hands during the races to calculate basically every single ending of the next 20 races. So you at least have to pick someone that's in contention for the championship.
For the Rookie Championship, I mean, it's been blown wide open because we had Turka finishing down the back. We had Timo not finishing. We had Jordi not finishing, but Ibrahim Khan finishing 9th in that race. That's going to boost his chances up. And it was 362 for Timotej Andonovski right at the top. and then just 2 points to Casper in behind. So looking at it, I think Casper might have taken the top. My calculations might be a bit out, but yeah, it's all been blown wide open with those retirements and all that carnage we saw in the second race.
It seems like the VCL Rookie Award is basically as the normal championship. Quite open. No one knows yet who can take it, but we will get a step closer to finding our Season 3 a champion here in the rFactor GT Pro series powered by Traction.gg when we head over to Sebring. But we're not leaving the Nürburgring GP just yet, Lewis, because there is another race coming up next Monday, which will be commentated on by Aidan Millward and Lee Smith, bringing you the action of the GT Challenge Series. And looking at Season 3 now, we know that the Challenge Series basically brings out all these future champions that put on great racing here in the Pro in the next season.
Yeah, looking at the 7 rookies that we've had this season, they've all put on fantastic displays. And to be fair, I'm looking forward to seeing which other rookies we'll see join the series once again, because the GT Challenge is the only way to get yourself onto GT Pro. And I'm sure they're going to have a fantastic few races to go. They've not actually passed the halfway point yet after various things, but they will be heading that way after next week's race. A tight championship in that sense. And I'm sure we'll see some fantastic racing. In this sense, though, we're moving over to the United States for the final 2 rounds of the championship, heading to circuits which most of the drivers on the grid will be looking forward to. They've got experience at, do all of them, and so there's no real excuses for them not to put their full show on.
I'm absolutely sure they will deliver an amazing race once again, but it is that basically enough of Monday night racing action. We will return next Monday with the rFactor GT Challenge Series, bringing you all the guys that want to make up their way to GT Pro Series, and then Sebring in 2 weeks' time. Until then, take care and goodbye.